Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 44. I'm your host Mo, and I'm joined as always by my long lost friends. What was it? Joby and Wibby?
Windows.
Windu.
Oh man, for those following us episode by episode, it feels like an eternity since the last time we did one of these, and I'm very excited to be back and talking Wheel of Time with you gentlemen. How have you been?
Same. Meh. I've been good.
Reading ahead, I know because I speak to you in non-podcast format.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 31. I'm 50% through the book.
Nice. And Vil, have you kept going?
Yeah, I think I'm on chapter 35 or 36.
Okay.
I'm past Snow 6. And that's where I was like, oh, no,
hey, spoilers.
Snow snakes. Snow snakes? That's a different thing.
Those are snakes that live in the snow.
Snakes don't live in the snow. Come now, guys.
Too cold for their cold blood.
Yes, they don't like it.
Do you guys even remember what we are covering in these chapters? I was saying to Jody before this recording that I have not looked at these notes for 2 weeks, and I actually found it quite hard. And I think it's emblematic of this actual stretch. It's a kind of an in-between time. I mean, we will, as always, obviously try and wring any little bit of enjoyment we can out of every single word. But it definitely feels like a transitional time, right? Like, I mean, some people are literally traveling from, where they started to where they need to be. So it is very much a transition time, but even in terms of just general action.
There's a lot of stuff that happens like in these chapters. And for me, over not just the 6 chapters, the last, I don't know, probably this book is just really not smacked me in the face with yay and ooh, and it's like, yeah, there's good things that happen in this book, but I'm not wooed.
No, we're still in Act 2, right? Like, I mean, Jody on chapter 31, that's only halfway, right? This is all still set up. But you're right, Vil. Like, I mean, what I was just saying is that this is what this stretch of chapters feels like. I get a sense that we get a continuation of sort of Egwene's growth. Like, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's happening, like especially in relation to Nynaeve, their relationship. There's a point at which Elayne sort of hints at Egwene becoming Amerlin's seat, hints of where her arc is going to go, that sort of thing. But yeah, for the most part, pretty ho-hum. Just to make our listeners super excited about it.
I'm going to go now.
Strapping in for a couple hours of rambling. But I mean,
half people turn off. Guys, I'll come back to this at another time.
Stick around. We'll make it fun. One way in which we can make it fun is by hearkening back to our previous episodes and talking about those before we get to this dry and dusty stretch before us. But let's do that in everyone's favorite section, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Give it
enthusiasm overload.
All right, let's hit those callbacks. We spoke in the last episode about how Amice scares Egwene, and we were sort of wondering, how does she do that again? She does it by shielding her and then holding her upside down, and then in a very veiled sort of image of exposure, RJ describes how Egwene's shift falls like all the way down under her armpits. So she's hanging upside down, basically nude, upside down, and then Amice does turn into like a crocodile-like creature and bites her in the face. That's how she scares Egwene into realizing how dangerous Tel'aran'rhiod is. We were talking about that because of the zombie rapists that Egwene had conjured to scare Nynaeve.
I'd forgotten about the zombie rapists.
I wish our podcast listeners could see the transition of on your face from like total befuddlement to complete shock. Yes, Amice wasn't doing that in the previous episode. We talked about it. We referenced it because of what what Egwene did to Nynaeve and saying how overboard it is. But yeah, Amis employed a pretty similar overboard tactic to scare some sense into Egwene as well.
Yeah, crocodile snapping at your covered face is not nice.
No,
it's
unpleasant.
Pretty mean. But so are zombie rapists.
Yes, and she reached out to the source. I mean, Egwene had her wits about her and tried to channel in Tel'aran'rhiod, but she was shielded. So Mies actually, covered all her bases. Then we spoke about where Bashir had been mentioned before, because now his army is missing. The girls go through Elida's notes, and there's a report of Tenobia's army being completely missing now. And Bashir had been said to be... Bashir had not been said to be missing yet when we heard about him earlier in the story. In the prologue of this very book, he's reported as being on the move. But since then, he's moved into complete obscurity. No one knows where his entire army is. Well, you do. Jody's pointing at the map in his background.
Thereabouts, I imagine. Or maybe that side.
But what I didn't put together is that everyone is assuming that he's actually trying to track down Mazrim Taim. They got word that he had escaped, and Bashir, Taim being Saldaean, obviously, struck a chord with Bashir and Tenobia, and he took the army to go hunt down Taim. Here's another pedantic one for Willie, just to, set him up for the evening. There was no mention of Tom's hand being burnt or shriveled in the dream in which he pulls the stone out of the fire. And then I will turn the finger of pedantry back upon myself for continually talking about the throne of Caemlyn when it's the throne of Andor. Like, I very often talk about Caemlyn as if it represents all of Andor. It's not. I mean, Elayne is the queen of, or the daughter heir for Andor, not for Caemlyn. So I need to, it's like I'm from the Two Rivers, right? Like anything not in Caemlyn, it's not really the queen's property or anything, like I don't recognize.
We know what you mean.
I don't recognize her rule outside of Caemlyn.
The other day in one of the previous podcasts, you also said the maidens, I was listening yesterday, you said the maidens either think of Rand as a brother or a mother.
Yes.
And I was like, I know what you mean.
Yes. I picked up on that as well. Let's see. What else did I have here? It's the hand of the Light's High Inquisitor Radam Asunawa that captures Galad. So, Joe, you spoke about Trom and like how he helps Galad escape. It's from Asunawa.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Galad is rescued by Trom and Child Byar and Bornold.
Bornold?
Jeez. Yeah. And Byar. I mean, the worst of the worst.
Now, your information is wrong. That did not happen.
Look, very possible. We kind of glossed over the fact that when Nynaeve goes through Elida's notes and there's rumors of a gathering near the town and they name the town, but Nynaeve is having trouble remembering the name of the town, that means that Elida knows where the Blues are gathering. So like Saladar and the Rebel Tower and like the activity of the Blues and Swan and the rest of the team's ultimate destination, that stuff is known to Elida. It's in her study.
What?
Okay. No, I never thought of it like that. But no, wait.
The Blue Arger, who have all run away from the tower, are all congregating in Saladar. That's the message that Swan got from the transvestite bar owner, whatever, right? Sally Dara is the clue that she was given. So the Blues and Rebel Aes Sedai are gathering in Saladar. Egwene and Nynaeve got that information from Tel'aran'rhiod, going through the letters in Elida's little box of messages. That means Elida has a letter saying the Blues are gathering in Saladar.
With you now.
Okay.
It's just so unbelievable that
It is
could be the
unbelievable. I mean,
case.
we didn't even discuss that. We were like, okay, cool, yeah. So Nynaeve saw the thing. Oh, it's annoying that she can't remember the name of the town, but that name of the town is written in a letter in Elyda's possession. That's huge. Like, she knows. I mean, in typical Elyda fashion, she's probably like sending a sister or two to go check it out and like playing it down. Like those blues couldn't, organize anything. But yeah, I mean, Elyda has some crucial information there. Jody, you were asking whether Leandrin had suffered any kind of abuse at the hands of a male when she was younger, and that's what you thought may have been driving her general dislike of men and her general attitude. Why she became a red and that sort of thing. I went and I looked at her history, and there's no record of any kind of abuse or anything like that. But she did come from poverty. She did come from pretty low standing, but her hatred of men is something that she, I don't know, decided to have. I don't know. Maybe she was wronged, but yeah, certainly nothing as serious and as easy to point to as the root cause for that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a bit of a chat about the Aes Sedai, or the person, the mistress that Ravin has in the palace that was covered in a cloak and everything. So the description of the Aes Sedai, so we speculated that it was the Aes Sedai that, Lanfear sort of caught Ravin talking to and compelling and sending off. I went back and I read that chapter to read the description to see if it matches what Lenny said or someone said was the other woman. I think it was Lenny that was telling Morghese there's this other one that he's, keeps concealed within a cloak. The description of that Aes Sedai from that earlier chapter is there was a slight glaze in her large brown eyes, big-eyed girl, is what Lenny called her. A young, pretty woman, even in the plain grey woolens she had adopted for her disguise.
It doesn't sound Aes Sedai.
Well, Ravin says to Lanfear, she's the tower's spy here. So I think it's the same woman that Lenny is referring to here. That's basically what we're getting down to.
All right.
We had a quick little sort of scratch of our heads at Dylan. Remember Dylan, who helps Elayne later to assume her role as heir apparent. She is Morghese's cousin, and she's actually the next in line for the throne after Elayne, which makes her assistance of Elayne that much more meaningful. And she actually stands to gain from Elayne not taking the throne, because then Dylan would be the next in line, but she still helps her. And she backs her all the way to Tom and Gaidon. She's around.
Yeah.
Good old Dylan. We also spoke about how Fane was talking to Alviarin and sort of bragging about like how he spoke to the Dark One at Shaido Ghul and all that sort of stuff. And I questioned that because when Fane was talking to Moiraine in Feldara back in the day, when he sort of divulged a lot of information that we've expounded on before, he was speaking to a man with flaming eyes. So he might have been speaking to Ishamael posing as Baal-Zamon, posing as the Dark One. He might not have been speaking to the Dark Lord that he thinks. He does, though, describe that passageway down to the Pit of Doom through Shaido Ghul with the stalactites, and it's the thing that sort of, that changes height. It's always scraping everyone's head. Shaido Haran can walk through, even though he's, like 7 feet tall or something. So maybe he has spoken to the Dark One, but he could also have been duped by Baal-Zamon. Then our good friend Rowan also wrote in about something that I didn't pick up on at all. He was saying that, do you remember? Okay, cast your minds back to when Nynaeve and Elayne fell victim to Rhonda McCure's fork root. Tom and Julian came in and saved them. And then Tom went and he bought that carriage that wasn't being used anymore, and they took a couple of dresses and stuff, and they jumped and they made a big show of leaving town, Julian ran up and jumped on the back of the carriage or something, and Tom whipped the horses and they raced out of town. And they passed a couple of white cloaks who, for some reason, like there was some arbitrary reason given about why they didn't follow up on that. Like, if they're wrong, then they're the ones that would get in trouble, and they didn't want to sort of like put themselves out by, causing an unnecessary ruckus for some, upstart young noble causing a bit of a scene. Like, it's just sort of this hand wavy reason for actual white cloaks. Because I mean, they're in were they Amethysia? And then nothing else is said about it. Then only a couple chapters later, Swan is in Lugard and makes eye contact with, or looks at some white cloaks and then shrinks away and then sort of just like scurries away, and she reprimands herself for like even seeming meek or like she wanted to leave. And then later you hear from Gareth Bryan's soldier that the white cloaks were asking about this woman that matches her description, and when they found out that she had left town, they were like super interested in her. And those two attitudes towards a completely innocuous act and then a very like visible boisterous exit from town are jarring. So Rowan was saying that was just really, really jarring to him, and he couldn't reconcile specifically that first scene. He hadn't even gotten to the next scene yet. He was just saying that's so unlike the White Cloaks to just let something slide. Yeah. I mean, we've been trained and conditioned to expect a certain type of behavior from the White Cloaks. And that is interesting. So if any of our listeners have any ideas or like any way that we can reconcile that thought as well, or reconcile that behavior, let us know so that Rowan can hear it on the podcast and can sleep at night.
I think that's like the White Cloak, like their motto is probably, we don't let shit slide.
Yes, totally. I mean, that's
these just could have been a couple of White Cloaks that were hung over like I was yesterday, and I would let everything slide yesterday.
You never know.
Murder next door, let it slide.
I mean, they must have just gotten lucky. That's the only thing I can think of. They got lucky with two lazy White Cloaks, which you never meet. Like every single one that's described to you until Fane corrupts them is, feverish in their dedication to their quote unquote cause.
Maybe we've just met. I mean, surely there's got to be some White Cloaks who don't really believe in the cause, but they live in Amadisia. They grew up there. So it's like, what do you do when you grow up? You join the White Cloaks, like
yes.
They just needed a job. Their dad was a White Cloak and grandpa was a White Cloak, and now you're a White Cloak and they don't want to be there.
And those aren't the ones that you send to Lugard or to the Two Rivers. No. Those are the ones you just
those are the guys.
Keep them close. Just border town. Just stick them there when nothing's going to happen.
Surely, like out of the thousands and thousands of White Cloaks, there's got to be a couple in there that don't really give a shit about anything.
Just by law of averages.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Statistics, bro.
And then another good friend of ours, Carrie Katz, wrote in, and she sent me a voice note to say she cannot fathom how Rand can allow all these precious Tarangril and Saangril on these wagons controlled by Hadnan Kadir. Like she cannot get it. Why is she giving all these Ungril to this known dark friend? And I mean, I had to do a bit of mental gymnastics as well to try and justify Rand's reasoning. I have to try and get in Rand's head, right? So my assumption, you guys have read ahead a little bit, but as soon as they're out of the waste, Rand's already talking about Kadir having to find new wagon drivers because they're going to fuck off as soon as they get back to the wetlands, right? They don't want any part of what's going on with all these Aiel and anything anymore anyway. And I'm pretty sure that the Lanfear showdown happens near some docks, like they're going to load the Ungril onto ships and sail them up to Tarvalon.
Mm-hmm.
So they're only using Kadir because he has wagons and he is there and they need to get them out. I mean, Rand could call out Kadir as being a dark friend and just make the other non-dark friends manage the wagons, right? I mean, surely. It is odd that Rand is just letting this dark friend, this known dark friend, operate in his midst with control over these wagons, but he's not going to make off with them. He's surrounded by Aiel. It is just, it is odd. And what I was saying to Gary is that also Moiraine has no idea that Hadnan Kadir is a dark friend. So she is fussing over these things and keeping a close eye on them and stuff as well.
This is the least of my worries.
To keep a known dark friend imprisoned. You make him work for you, load all your crap, carry it around for you until you're done with him. I mean, he can't flee.
And then Lanfear skins him, no problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, he is taking lessons from a fucking Forsaken. Another one is constantly visiting him, trying to sex him into taking over the world with her. Moghedien is in charge of those wagons, overseeing Kadir. Like, this is not an issue for him. Like,
No.
lots of other shit he's got to worry about. Like, this is under
true.
control, right? Like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. There you go.
Yeah. And then finally, we've got a new contributor, Michael Murphy, right in saying that he agrees that Moghedien must have cheated at catching those trout. She definitely used the wrong guy.
Finally, thank you,
Mike. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
I feel that I've been vindicated.
But yeah, I think we've always agreed that she cheated. There's no way that she's just a better fisherman than Perrin and Loyal, like.
Look, if Swan was with them and she caught them with her hands, I'd be like, totally
Yes.
just
No.
natural.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not this noble woman from Kyrian.
No. She's totally using the 1 pound fucking with them.
And then the episode that Michael was on, we were talking about, like, why doesn't Slayer just pop into Fane's dream and kill him there, because he's there to kill the renegade in the Two Rivers and all that sort of stuff. But as we have discussed since then, you can't just step into someone's dream, because that you become, far less powerful. They have far more control in their own dreams than what you can do. What you could do is pull them out of their dream into a dream shard or Tel'aran'rhiod shard or something like that, which the wise ones always say is a thing only the people of the shadow do, which, Slayer falls into that category. But I don't know if that's one of his abilities. I don't know if pulling someone out of a dream is maybe power related, or if you need a Tel'aran'rhiod for that. I don't know if pure strength in Tel'aran'rhiod translates to being able to pull someone into a dream shard.
I honestly don't think Paden Fane dreams. Like that would indicate some form of humanity or consciousness or.
The line that Michael is referring to here that we were discussing is when Paden Fane goes, "Why can't my dreams just be my own?"
Okay.
But we also don't know whether that was Slayer or if maybe like Belzamon is appearing to him as well, or had appeared to him in the past when he was being tormented and having his dreams distilled and all that sort of stuff, or his mind distilled at least. Would be too easy for Slayer to just go kill him in his dream.
Maybe all that Paden Fane has is nightmares. And then you, like, Slayer sees him from the outside and goes, I'm not getting in there.
I'm not climbing in that.
Nine Dunker.
Paden Fane's dreams is a, what do you call these channels that sell shit the whole time?
Infomercial.
Infomercial. Every time it dreams, he's straight into infomercials.
That would be hell. Okay. That takes us all the way through callbacks. So let's do a quick recap of where we were and get stuck into our transitional chapters. Previously on Blood and Ashes, Nynaeve and Egwene learn that Elaida is the Amyrlin seat, and Egwene admonishes Nynaeve for lying and being reckless in Tel'aran'rhiod, as we have discussed. Galad shows up to breakfast with Nynaeve and Elayne, and so they immediately make plans to run away with the circus. Moghedien takes charge of Liandrid's group and charges them with capturing Nynaeve. Fane steals back the dagger from Shadow Logoth, and Morghese realizes that she's been manipulated, and she gathers a ragtag group to help her escape and plan to take back her throne. And that brings us now to chapter 20, called Jangai Pass. Willie.
No. That's the one. Jangai Pass. Now, Rand has been making his way now for half a month, I think it was. Moghedien in tow, every opportunity she can get. She is on the lecture or on the speech, on this noble court, you do this, and this is how you do this in Carhine, and this is how you do this in Saldea. She's just almost obsessively trying to implant as much information into Rand's head, and half the time Rand is not even listening. He's just trying to just kill the background noise, and it includes her mouth at this point in time. Now, like I said, they've been going for half a month on the road, and they are 7 days behind Couladin. They are going down, I assume it sounds like down and up this mountain pass, and high, it's like a snake that's carved into mountains. It is just a envision Lord of the Rings style trying to cross the mountains. So what I see, like snow-capped tops, high peaks. And Rand can spot as they are getting closer to the village Tayin that in the tops of these mountains where some men can't even climb because they can't breathe. And it's not because they're scared of height, Rand. It's because the atmosphere is thin. That was stupid, Rand. Did they forget all science and after the Age of Legends? All science is gone.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That did happen.
Now, so Rand spots up against these slopes at the heights what looks like houses and buildings that's been long broken down, and what looks like to be the remnants of a dock right up in the mountains. And he's like, asks us Moghedien, who is now his bannerman as well, carrying is it the banner of the light that he's carrying now with him? Because his dragon banner's over Tia still.
Yeah, he's using the sinuous line, the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aes Sedai, so it's the banner of the light. As Moghedien is not happy about carrying that banner. He's really not stoked about that. There's a little bit of punishment for him there the whole time. Any which way, I asked him about it. He says, well, look, the world that I woke up in is vastly different to the world that I went to sleep in. Mm-hmm. So that could very well be the village that or the town that I was born in. It was at the coast and there, but yeah, everything is different. They make their way down, and slowly they start seeing some spot, like looks like there's some dark blotches on the walls of the, is it a town or a village? I mean, that high in the mountains, 100 people left, maybe 200 people total village, I'd say.
Remember, there's 100 people left. There weren't 100 people before, only 100 people before Couladin showed up.
250? Okay, I don't know. I'm going to go with village. It's in the mountains. A hamlet. It's the hamlet. The hamlet of Tayin. Well, obviously, Shaido's scumbag Couladin attacked, made sure to be really, really brutal, murdering people willy-nilly to hang them and to put them on display physically on the walls, impale them or whatever he wanted to do, leaving threats that leave this up so that he who follows us can see what I'm going to do to the rest of the wetlands. And he's cut his sleeves off so that he can show his dragons. When they entered the village, the Aiel, Rand asked the Aiel obviously to, they might get a little bit scared if they see some veiled Aiel, so be there but don't be seen. And he gets approached and, oh my lord, thank goodness you came out of that waste and all well. And that's it. We explaining to him the whole happenings of what went down. After a little while of this discussion about what Couladin has done and what transpired there, Ruach and Diedrich, who now from the Rain Aiel is also caught up and joined the moving party now. So we've got the Miagoma that's also now joining up, and all of them seems to be on par with the movement. There's no sort of okay, we joining the Shaido type of thing. But anyway, they decide to show face, and of course at the sight of more black veiled Aiel, these town folk in their PTSD absolutely flip out, and then Rand sends them like, okay, cool, gather them up, be nice, don't be mean. They've had a tough time.
Yeah.
So, but Rand was quite upset with them, like asking them, like, why haven't you removed your dead yet? Like, you 100 people left over here, but you haven't even removed your dead and like buried them. And it's like, look, man, we were told to leave them. We're scared. These people have basically been through hell. They've grown up with 5 generations, 6 generations of people telling them about the Aiel wars. And then one day it happens. the savages came, and it was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Rand now is also faced with a bit of a conundrum, because the Aiel, still being Aiel, still have an opinion of wetlanders, and they are also not particularly caring, and he understands it. Obviously, the coming, and as it said, it was only forceps that went over to avenge the Oathbreaker that chopped down a tree.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't start a war. They just went there, killed him, got his sword, and left. It wasn't an invasion or anything like that. So now Rand is crossing the spine with, well, how many is with him now? 8 different clans. So it's
if you say so.
That, yeah, somewhere around there, 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's now faced with their opinion of wetlanders as well. And later on, he gets quite staunch with laying down the law in terms of, this is not another go rape, pillage, and kill mission. This is a different thing. There's going to be rules. Rock is not too stoked about that, but not happy at all that Couladin has taken wetlanders as Gaishain.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, no, that is just not right. That's just not the way that it's going to be. Matt obviously hates Couladin, and it's like, what do you expect from the guy? He would cheat with dice with his grandmother.
And everybody knows you don't cheat your grandmother.
True.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. The maidens are a little bit sulky at the moment with Rand, because he's been asking other societies to also fill some roles. Rand is spreading the love amongst the Aiel and not just looking after them. But maidens being maidens, they don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the crux of this chapter. There's not a hell of a lot. And they're going down the pass, they find a village, they see some more towns that's old and historical, and they find terrorized, PTSD-laden survivors of the town Tayan.
Yeah, there's a town on either end of this pass, and this is now on the Aiel on the west side. This is the one, and it's not looking good.
But there's a reference as well. No, sorry, this is the one thing that I didn't want to mention. Rand is starting to struggle with whose words is coming out of his mouth in a big way.
Yeah.
And he's starting to blunder up. And this one, he says, it's like Mar Rios, which refers to a long forgotten battle. And Rand's like, well, no, that's not right. So it's starting to happen. The alter ego is starting to build.
I will say again my opinion on these occurrences. Rand is having the memories. It's not Lews Therin speaking. It is Rand remembering Lews Therin's memories and speaking about those memories. Like, it's still Rand talking, but he's remembering what Lews Therin remembers. So like it's a bit like Matt. Like Matt also talks about and even acts and fights, with the advantage of all those memories from before. But I have in the past, like I think in book 1, like when Rand is going crazy up on the mast of the spray, and said, "Oh, is this Lews Therin sort of showing himself?" And it could have been, I'm not going to name any names. It was one of our regular contributors who chimed in quite early in the series that, like, look, it's just the memories of that stuff coming out and channeling sickness and that sort of thing. Don't be so quick to say it is Lews Therin speaking with Rand's mouth, because that does become a thing.
Well, that should have been Rowan.
It might have been, or one of our many, the delivery man, or anyone. So yes, but you are right, Phil. Like, those memories are certainly coming through thick and fast now. Like, Matt calling out to him and calling him Lews Therin and getting his attention that way. These things are all just signposting the direction that Rand's going in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're going to get to Matt and his memories as well, but he's almost reveling in them at the moment.
It's cool how often they are peppered. I mean, in this chapter, there's talk about how Matt is like standing up in his stirrups and like he's surveying the pass and he's assessing it. Lan's noticing how Matt is doing that. And I think Rand says something along the lines as well as like, Matt used to be a competent rider before, but now sometimes it's like...
Now he's like on a horse naturally.
It's just second nature to him. He's doing other things and also just steering this horse like almost absentmindedly, subconsciously, which is cool. Like it's cool how quickly these things are coming through.
Yeah, Lan is noticing quite a bit on Matt, like even down to Matt saying to the survivors in the town, like, where was your sentries? With sentries, you could have had warning. You could have said, like, what were you doing? Like, no, they don't have sentries. There's not been any conflict for so many years. They just have watchers at the gate type of thing. And Matt's like, oh, you know, this is just pathetic protection. Like, and Lan sort of nodding at him, like, okay, cool. What do you? Matt's thinking is complete. When it comes to a battle scenario or anything like that, Matt's thinking is immediately top general.
Oh yeah.
Like, if the dice come out, Matt's thinking is girls and coin.
Booze in between there somewhere.
But that
I have a couple of things.
That approval from Lan, sorry, Joe, last thing. That approval from Lan goes a long way. Eh? Like when you read it, like Lan nods approving, like, yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Lan's actually showing something. Yeah.
I wish I could get Lan's approval.
Exactly.
Make my life.
All
There's
right, Joe.
A scene
shoot.
There's a scene. This reminds me of a scene later on in the books when they are planning a battle in a tent. And it's like Lan and Bashir's there and all the great generals are there, I remember. And there's a map on the table. And then Matt walks in and he leans over and he looks at it and he says, what about this area? It's like, this is weak or something. And nobody had noticed it except him. And everybody looks at him approvingly. This is like in book maybe 11, 12, 13. I don't recall.
Is it not the final battle?
Could possibly be. All right. But remember that when it comes up, because this is just the beginning. Another thing I wanted to mention is I don't like this Aiel attitude towards these people that have been skinned and brutalized like this. They're like, yeah, this is shit, but they are tree killers. You know, like, what? Ruach? Come on, man. Like, these are just villages. It's like, yeah, but they're tree killers. So it's, you know, I don't know what to think. Like, no, that's not cool, man.
Yeah.
You guys aren't Shaido dogs. Don't. Yeah, I get what they're trying to do. Like, they have this thing against the tree killers, the Kyrenian. Yes, fine, whatever. But this is a bit harsh, man. Like,
it is harsh, and it's all tied up in Toe, right? Like, because the Kyrenian, they feel the Kyrenian have toe in general, but they came across the Dragon Wall. They settled. They killed Laman.
Yeah,
right. That was their whole thing. Yeah. And once they did, they vied. They went back. So it should be all settled and square. So to be this indifferent about the brutality and the suffering at the hands of the Shaido here they shouldn't be so blasé about it.
And these are the descendants of the people of the king who did the thing wrong. These people have nothing. They don't have toe.
No. Yeah, it is pretty rough. Something else that's rough.
Upset.
Something you're about to get more upset. Ruach makes a comment about how it's unfathomable that these Shaido would take non-Aiel as Gai Shane. That is way too close to him. That resembles like something that the Sharad do.
They're just taking animal slaves.
The Sharad have slaves? Gaul is Sharad.
No. Didn't he say Sharan? Like from
Shara? Shara, not the other tribe, not another
Sharan
sect.
And not Sharad.
Yeah, because the Sharan have slaves. I'm not angry about that. Oh, another mystery. Did you also misprint in your book?
I must have just misread it because I was like, what? And then, no, Gaul, you don't have slaves, do you? I love you.
That's it. Podcast over. Moritz is giving up. This is final straw. And one last thing. You were talking about the mailman, Richard Jackson.
Yes.
And I went, just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast while driving going, Richard Jackson, R.J., Robert Jordan.
Makes you think. Richard, reveal yourself.
It's Robert Jordan reaching out from the grave to comment on our podcast.
Anything else? I've got one more, like just fun little one. Nothing about slavery or casual disregard of brutality. But it did make me chuckle that the Aiel set a pace that tired the horses.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Now that they do well.
They do. They can run those.
I've got nothing else.
Excellent. Then let's soldier on to chapter 21 called The Gift of the Blade. Go for it, Joe.
Ooh. All right. Chapter 21. Anyway, so yeah, they've arrived at Jango's Pass, and the camp sets up all around Rand, ready to protect him, and covering all sides. They're prepped for attack from anywhere. Moghedien and Lan are there. They're fussing over the wagons, of Kadia's wagons. I hope you feel better about this now, Moritz. A little explanation there. The Aiel are cutting down the corpses left by the Shaido, because no one else is going to do it. I suppose they will. And the Gaishain are there. They're also erecting the Wise Ones' tents. The Gaishain are the last ones to erect their own tents. They got to do all the work first and then their own stuff. It just seems right. We also learned that Elayne has married Aiel 3 nights ago. So that's happened. Aviendha and Egwene are riding double on Mist, which is surprising that Aviendha is actually on a horse. I don't know if this is a misprint in my book, but anyway, there it was.
She's been on Rand's horse with him, obviously. So she's been on a horse.
He's the Car or Khan, it's a different story. He says.
And just for the record, I checked my book. It is Sharad with a D.
I don't believe
Maybe
you.
it's a misprint.
I'm going to check my book. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's a misprint. It can't be.
It can't be. It's there clear as day.
I will not accept that. So anyway, moving on. We'll come back to that. So yeah, they approach Aviendha and Egwene. That is, they approach Rand, and they tell him, like, listen, what happened over here is not your fault. And Rand's like, yeah, I'm aware of that. And he's thinking to himself, like, oh, I hope Egwene, when she sees this, she doesn't, like, all those bodies hanging, she doesn't run away and empty her stomach and puke everywhere. He's telling them, like, yeah, I accept this is not my fault, because I didn't even know there was a town here until like a few days ago when Ruach told me we were on our way, and they were like, yeah, when we get to the town. And he's like, what, a town? So yeah, he knows it's not his fault. So he's thinking that the girls are going to be all upset and vomiting, and the girls are thinking, hey, he's going to be all upset and vomiting. We better go and comfort each other. So they have the same thoughts about each other. Rand catches a part of their conversation as they're leaving, confirming that they were thinking the exact same thing about him. This is a very typical trope that Robert Jordan uses. All, like, a lot of the conflict in these books comes from misunderstandings. So yeah, it's a game, especially between men and women. I suppose exclusively between men and women. He thinks, yeah, he's like, as he's hearing them and watching them go, he says, those two are spending too much time together. This is not going to end up well for me. He's even noticing how they even dress the same, not just the Wise One dress, but they've even got the same, like, jewelry, like one necklace, one bracelet. The necklace and bracelet story carries on. So anyway, they're gone. He jumps off his horse and he goes in search of Asmodean. On his way there as well, he sees Matt as well, and he wonders where that comment came from about the sentries. But Matt won't talk to him about what happened in Moghedien, which I find odd. I mean, Rand was there. He saved his life and cut him down from that tree, and brought him back from death, basically. So I think you owe him, like, at least Rand an explanation. You don't have to explain it to Moghedien or anybody, but whatever. Matt's not a chatty dude at the moment. So anyway, Rand finds Asmo, and okay, he's still not stoked to be the better man. And he asks him about the ruins of a port city. I don't think we mentioned this. Like, because as you got up to the mountains, if you look right at the top of the spine of the world, there's the ruins of an ancient city with what looks like port. What do they call them?
Like a pier.
Like a pier, yeah. But I think it was, if it was a city, it was bigger than piers. But like hanging off,
Docks.
Docks, that's it. Thank you very much. All these old broken docks hanging off. So it's like at some point that used to be next to the sea. And we've spoken about this before. And he asks Asmodean about that. And Asmodean tells him, like, that could probably be where I grew up. That's that whole thing where it comes from there. His hometown of Shorel. aptly named, being next to the shore. I think not Robert Jordan's most creative name choices.
Not his most inspired work, no.
Anyway, he's like, so much has changed. That could possibly be where I grew up, but he has no idea for sure about what it is. Everything has changed so much. So Rand tells the old Forsaken, like, look, I'm too tired for one of our, discussions today. That's what they're calling the little practice sessions. And Rand tells him to, go to your tent, and I expect you to see you in the morning again with that banner. Don't forget it. And Asmodean's like, you trusting me now? Let's just go off on my own and not run away and just do what I think. And Rand's like, dude, I will trust you until the moment you betray me, and then I will kill you. Like you're basically on parole at the moment, but I just can't keep an eye on you anymore. It's like, all right, big steps.
It is.
It is, yeah. You don't not watch a Forsaken when he's sleeping in your camp.
Pretty wild, eh?
Somebody keep an eye on him, please.
Book 5, yeah. Real comfy with those Forsaken.
Yeah, very, very much so. And as before he walks away, he also says to him after threatening his life, and that's Randall 4 speaking. And then he goes, shit, I shouldn't have said that. No need to hint that there's like another voice in my head. I don't want to let this Forsaken know. And Asmodean realizes, he looks at him like kind of weird, like, wait a minute. Who else would be talking if it not you?
This is the key for me. Like, I get what you said previously, Mo, about it's loose memories.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Rand himself saying, and this is me speaking.
Mm-hmm. But I think Rand loses himself in those memories. So when he speaks from Lews Therin's memories, he feels like that isn't him because he only sees himself as, Two Rivers Rand. When Lews Therin starts taking over, you will see what that looks like. And it is very different. Rand actually is in the mind and feeling helpless because he can't control what's happening. Like the roles are reversed. It's very different to what this is.
I agree with you, Moritz. You've converted me. But yeah, like his memories take over so much that he gets lost. It's not it's still Rand just lost in memories. It's not Lews 100% in charge.
And Rand is telling himself as much as anyone else that this is Randall Thor. I am Randall Thor, right? Everyone, remind me, I'm Randall Thor, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's speaking.
So anyway, off he goes. His tent is being put up by a bunch of guys, Shane, under Aviendha's direction. Of course, she's there. Rand uses the little fat man Angriel to set a ward up around the camp that will warn them if any shadow spawn enters. And he thinks to himself, like, fuck, I should have done this in Ruidian. So I don't know if he knew it then. He just didn't bother. Which seems weird. But yeah, maybe I can't remember the lines exactly how he thought this, but maybe he only learned this from Asmodean after Ruidian. Like, this would have been a good idea.
Maybe he didn't think Shadowspawn would attack the holy city of the Aiel, where Shadowspawn traditionally come to die.
That is sheep herder Rand. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, regardless, he thinks about that would have been a good idea. The Dark Hounds wouldn't have been able to enter without him knowing. This won't do anything for humans, like regular humans or Shaido or something entering. He wouldn't notice. It's only going to trigger for Shadowspawn. And he apparently makes a different kind of one, like a less, it only gives a warning, doesn't just kill them instantaneously, because that if he had made one of those wards, the Forsaken would know where he is immediately, and they would be able to sense this kind of a thing. So these are all the little reasons as to why it's just a warning system. The Aiel just going to have to watch for the humans, which they will do just fine. Aviendha shows him a dangerous blood snake that she had found, that she had killed as well with a belt knife. She's like holding it on a knife, like, look at this, look what I found here, And Rand tells her, like, you shouldn't do stupid shit like that, You could just use the power to kill it from a distance, because I obviously think that you walked up to it and stabbed it with your knife.
Yes.
Like, just stay far away from it and use the power to kill it. Come on, man. And she's like, no. The wise one's always telling me that using the power too often is too dangerous. So they have that in common with the Aes Sedai. Everybody agrees, don't use it too much. As we spoke about the Ashaman as well, the Black Tower being the complete opposite later on. Yeah. So when they settle in the tent, Aviendha throws a wrapped bundle at him, like, because he's told her this whole time, like, you know, he's not as concerned about the gift exchanging as she is, because he doesn't understand it. So she's like, I'm going to pay my debt back to you like 10,000 fold so that I never have to speak to you about this shit again. So she throws this wrapped bundle at him, is wrapped in blankets. I just love how she gives gifts. Catch. And it's not like it's a teddy bear inside, it's a fucking sword as well. Because he won't, and he's just like, well, this will cancel my debt. And Rand's like, what debt? He's like, you fucking moron. Still doesn't get it. So it's Laman's sword.
Yeah.
So he opens it up and then looks at it, and it's the gaudiest piece of shit you've ever seen in your life. Just rubies and gilded this and gilded that, and, you know, shit everywhere. And she hopes that this is now going to cancel the debt, but he's like, whoa. So initially Rand wants to refuse the gift, to say like, there's no debt, but you know, like, this is enough, dude. So until he notices the heron mark on the blade, and that's when he starts like, whoa, hang on a second, what's all this then? So yeah, that's the tree killer's blade. It's made with the power. It's got a heron mark on. He's like, you know, I am actually short one heron mark blade for myself. This might actually come in. But he tells her like, look, all right, I'll take the blade, but you can keep the sheath and the hilt and the rest of it. You could sell those rubies and, you know, be rich. She's like, God damn it, she can't get out of his debt. But he's telling her, look, no, the blade is enough. Like, this has got to be power wrought, and it's a heron mark blade. So, you know, that will definitely cancel whatever imaginary debt you think you have with me. I like how he immediately notices that he'll have to change the hilt because it would twist in a sweaty grip. Like, he looks at it and goes, no, that's not utilitarian at all. That won't do.
Not just a sweaty grip, but a sweaty or bloody grip.
Oh, sweaty or
it's
bloody
made
grip,
from
yes.
ivory. It's just going to twist in the hand when you get your hands full of blood.
Yeah, this is not a sword not made for fighting. It's made for looking at. Which is totally Laman's style, you know, like a chair. I need a throne that someone's going to go, whoa, look at that throne, and then whoa, look at that sword. So anyway, he's worried it cost a lot. That sword must have cost a fucking fortune. So that's why he's giving her back the hilt and the rubies and stuff. But she tells him, like, look, by this time, nobody wants this sword. Like, when the Aiel captured the sword, they sold it between each other as like a trophy, and it was worth a lot. But over the last 20 years, like, people are just trying to get rid of it. It's bad juju, and it's the tree killer sword. Now everyone's realized that nobody wants this sword. So, you know, economics 101, demand is low, price is low.
So yeah, you have
she got it. Yeah, you need a sword. No one else is gonna, you know, carry a sword. So it's a great gift that no one else
wants.
So they're over dinner later on, which turns out to be a stew containing a little bit of blood snake. They discuss old Bael and Melane's marriage. Rand is still unclear on all these Aiel customs concerning sister wives and marriage in general. Apparently, Bael didn't even know about the marriage until Melaine and Dorinda told him about it. And they talk about bridal wreath blossoms a lot here. This kind of blossom means that, and this kind of blah, blah, blah. Apparently, morning drop blossoms, which shows submissiveness. Rand thinks to himself, that probably means she'll give you a warning before she stabs you. So I was like, yes, submissive is not a word the Aiel would use. He's like, submissive? Aiel? No. Anyway, that's what it means.
He's probably thinking he's being hyperbolic and like sort of sarcastic, but that is probably quite literally what submissiveness translates to. You know?
I'm going to stab you now, my love.
Yes.
So yeah, apparently it was a weird ceremony as well to him, to the Aiel, perfectly normal ceremony, the marriage ceremony. So Bael had to fight Melaine hand-to-hand combat, surrounded by armed maidens. And then when he won, he had to carry her to his tent over his shoulder. He got a limp and a black eye for his efforts. And everybody is super proud of the fight that Melaine put up. So it's like, all right, sweet. Everyone's happy.
Bael is also the biggest Aiel that Rand has ever seen. He's taller than rock and huge.
And he got his ass kicked a little bit. So there you go. So when they get ready for bed, Rand asks what it means if a maiden teaches a man to sing. We've heard a lot of this lately, and Aviendha is thoroughly amused by this question. Of course, guesses that he's talking about old Matt, and she tells him that, you know, sometimes a man will allow himself to be taken Guy Shane so that he could be with that maiden. And the first thing these men or fools, according to Aviendha, are taught is to sing. because in Aiel culture, the men do not sing. They only sing battle songs and then laments for the dead. Like it's the only two things they sing. So if the maiden teaches him to sing, because he's being a fool. Rand sets wards on his dreams and he goes to sleep very uncomfortably with Aviendha there in the tent with him. You can hear her undressing and stuff. And it's just awkward for me as a reader. I suppose worse for them. So he dreams of Min and Elayne and Aviendha and him carrying Aviendha over his shoulder while she beats him with a marriage wreath of sagade blossoms, which mean not submissive. The other one. And that's how the chapter ends. Short and sweet. What did I miss? Because I did these notes like 3 weeks ago.
Let me consult. Will, do you have anything to add there?
I do. I'm upset with that chapter.
Okay.
Like, it's a blood snake.
Not snow snakes.
Not snow snake. So the second snake problem today. Blood snakes, venom don't work like that. It doesn't make your blood turn to jelly. No venom works like that. It's not the way that venom works. If they were to say snake because the snake bites you and you start bleeding out of your orifices and you start bleeding out of your skin, then I'd go like, damn, that's accurate. Sounds like a hemotoxic venom that the snake has. It could have been a boomslang or a vine snake, and that's what happens when it bites you. Your blood cells literally break down and become so small you start bleeding through your skin. Blood snake. Not, oh, it bites you and you turn to jelly.
Grape jelly. Jam snack.
Yes, Billy, I can see like in this 14 book omnibus of fantasy that this is the thing you have a problem with.
It's always the animal stuff that does get to Billy, though.
The snake has got nothing to do with magic. It's not like it's the what is the bloody Harry Potter snake that cruises around the freaking basement of the school in the first bloody book. Anyway, it's not that type of snake. It's just a regular snake that
the basilisk.
RJ should have the basilisk. That was it. You should have just read a little bit more, or just watch some David Attenborough.
Is there such a thing as a blood snake?
No, not that I've come across.
So it's a made up thing
with made up powers.
Well, I'm just asking. Like, I mean, it would have been even more egregious if there was a real snake called a blood snake and it had a completely different thing, or was like turned out to be non-venomous at all.
No, it's not that egregious.
The snake. Called
so sucks on your toes at night.
It could have been a bit more rooted in reality. But yeah, it's fantasy. There's also Grom and Toraken and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I got no opinion about those because they're fantasy animals. Snakes are real things.
Yes, and close to your heart.
All right.
What else? I had a note here that Egwene says loudly enough for Rand to hear. He has a habit of feeling guilty over things he cannot control. And then Rand thinks to himself, only for the things he could do something about. But for Rand, that means basically everything because he feels he can do something about everything. Like that's not an out, Rand. And then he even goes further to say, and what he should have done something about. Like, okay, cool. But like you're always taking on responsibility for stuff that you can't control. So Egwene is maybe right in this specific instance.
And there's the whole thing with the trying to protect the women by not sending the maidens on missions.
So tiresome, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there it is.
Especially when you know like how deadly the maidens are. Like they are so badass. And I mean it's done here to show Rand's sort of small town naivete. Like it's called out. Like the maidens are annoyed by it as we are as readers as well. And okay, there's a lot of themes that are sort of like beaten over the head, or that we are beaten over the head with, throughout the series. And sometimes we are going to roll our eyes and go, okay, we get it. Rand is from a small town. He doesn't want the woman to get hurt. He won't kill a woman, blah, 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 blah. But I think we've said it before that like a lot of those things, by virtue of being repeated so often to the point of like becoming annoying, are the reason why those concepts are so firmly ingrained, right? Like we have a very, very clear idea of who Rand is. And I'm not saying that it couldn't be achieved by only mentioning it once or twice, but there certainly can be no room for doubt, right? We know who Rand from the Two Rivers is. And I think we should strap in for a lot more eye rolling and sighing as we progress through the series. Aviendha gets annoyed with Rand for not understanding the sister-wife connection, which is obviously because she's been trying to educate him for a long time now, and it would be annoying for your quote-unquote student to be so ignorant. But she's also got a vested interest, right? Like if Rand understands and accepts the sister-wife arrangement, maybe what she saw in the rings won't be as big a problem as she's making it out to be. She's got multiple angles from which to be annoyed at Rand for not understanding.
Yeah, she could actually sell it to him. Like, all right, Rand, tonight let's first touch on sister wives. I want to see that you get and understand that.
This is important.
Who asks who? This is like real important. Let's just settle down. It's like 10 minutes. We recap sister wives. Then we can get to the other snake. We can talk about the blood snake and whatever. But sister wives. I just want to make sure you get this. Like,
yeah. I mean, shame. Poor Aviendha. She's so tortured, eh?
Oh.
I like that Rand connects the dots between Matt's behavior and memories and stuff with Ruidian. Like he says it's since he came out of the doorway, Matt's been talking like this. He's been, behaving in this way. So, I mean, at least he has an inkling, which Joe, like you said, should open the door for Matt to be able to talk to Rand about it. But that's just not Matt's style, eh?
No.
When Justin Natal Asmo says to Rand, why are you asking me to carry this banner? Surely there are better people to do it, or something along those lines. Rand says to him, you carry it because you are chosen, Master Justin Natal. And I just had a little chuckle at like, Rand with the word jokes, chosen, forsaken. Okay.
I noticed that, and it went over my head 4 times. I'm trying to understand that line, and it just keeps evading me. Like, what is he referencing to when he calls him master? Like, what is it?
Well, he says that you were chosen, like a chosen.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Now the penny drops.
Because right after he said that, as Moghedien looks around, like, oh my God, like he looks around nervously.
Don't say that so loudly.
Yeah, like no one else is going to get that.
Sorry. I did not put 1 and 1 together there.
Neither did I, Billy.
Penny dropped. I got it. Yes.
I had to do a double take on that one myself, but
2 pennies.
It did land eventually. Good for you, RJ.
Sure. RJ's a jokesy guy sometimes.
Tries to be. I had a good laugh at Rand as well. For 15 nights, he's been thinking he needs to get Aviendha out of his room. It's taking you a while, hey, Rand? I'm not super eager
for
to
a
talk
fortnight.
to her about it.
Yeah, I want to get out of my room.
Incredibly beautiful
first,
woman
let me
sleeping with
listen.
me.
Yeah.
While I don't look at and try and imagine what clothing she's taking off now.
Yeah.
It sounds like you want to get out of your tent,
Full on
mate.
perv.
So it sounds more like you want to get your tent out of your pants.
Okay, let's move on before this conversation degrades even further. Chapter 22 is called Bird Calls by Night. Take it away, Willem.
You're right. Matt is to what I assume post-coitus, lying on
Safe
his
assumption.
belly. Yeah. Now Melindra is sitting on his bum cheeks and giving him a back massage, which sounds really good. Anyway, right. She's busy bantering with him and smacking his ass and saying that he's got some muscle for a short guy and he's not too bad for this and that. And Matt gets a little bit snippy about that every now and then when she pushes him too far. But it gets down to the point where he even again asks her, like, hey, man, are you sure you know nothing about the daughter of the Nine Moons? She's like, Matt Hawthorne, I've told you before, I know nothing of this daughter of the Nine Moons. Now, while they're busy having their little banter sesh in their more than hot tent that is got a fire that's double the size it needs to be, and they're both quite sweaty. There's a blackbird call that sounds like it's outside and inside. It's everywhere. And that was followed by a redwing call. And these are good two-river birds. So Rand, using things that's familiar to him, had set these wards to be bird calls from the two rivers, and the one being from the south and the one being from the north, or whatever. So there's a two-pronged attack heading their way. And Melindra jumps up, does the most important thing that a woman in the nude does before going into a fight, puts a veil over her face, grabs some spears, and out she goes. No matter about the cold, no matter about nothing, it's killing time. Matt's a little bit more pragmatic about it, at least puts on something, gets his foxhead medallion, because, you know, the Black Archer is still out there, doesn't want woman channeling at me, gets his Ashandari, gets his boots on, and he's like, okay, cool. And as he steps out the tent, straight into battle. As a sword, he hit a duck roll, the sword nearly decapitating him, and Matt goes to town on a Trolloc that has got horns growing out of it and everything, but he skewers it like a society right through the center and moves on. Battle is raging all around him, and he is seen by Fade. Night Runner. Matt faces off, and the Fade comes at him running but gliding, and Matt screams something out loud, and he goes in. And Matt knows the only way to take down a Fade is not to give it a chance, just throw everything at it. So Matt throws everything, and he goes on full attack. And as the Fade keeps trying to block and parry, their blades meet, and you've got a Tathangar blade being smashed by a power rod blade, and there's blue sparks everywhere, which sounds like an awesome battle. And Matt just goes one over the top. Next minute, you see a white hand flying, holding on to a black sword still. But Matt doesn't stop it, just chopping off his hand, his limb. He drives the next shot and slices open his throat, does another spin, and hamstrings him, and just does the job properly. He's okay, cool. Combo executed. The Fade is wriggling and convulsing on the floor, but that's normal. He'll die when the sun goes down. And very quickly, battle is sort of done. And Matt is immediately like, this is bullshit. This attack makes no sense at all. Not a single bit of sense. He's and he mentioned like none of this makes sense, and he's very, very confused about it. But they gathered themselves up. He realized how freaking cold he is, coming from a hot tent, hot and sweaty, out to that. Melindra comes and joins him. She's, even though her breath is all like steamy, like this is not like the cold is bothering her at all. Now they were shouting while the Dark Friends were attacking, because we had Trollocs, we had Fades and Dark Friends. The Dark Friends were shouting for Samael and the Golden Bees. That's such a lame house saying Golden Bees. I'm like, this is for Moghedien and the Mushroom Clan. The dragonflies.
The silver geckos.
The silver geckos. I don't know. Anyway, Melindra then says to Matt, like, oh, I saw you fight the Night Runner. It's you're quite right, Matt. You don't need to. You just tall enough. You're tall enough a man. But yeah, Matt is still confused. Then we have a break and perspective, and we jump over to Rand now. Rand is rushing out to find that as this bird call alarms went off, that all of his maiden guards have just run off to fight. So no one's actually left to protect him. And he's like, okay, well, if he had come out just before that, they probably ran so quickly away because they knew that he would tell them to stay. Either which way, he turns to find Aviendha had come out the tent and she's wrapped in a blanket, and he realizes she's already being crooned to by a Drakkar. Which, terrifying as it is, Rand does what he does best, and he now uses, which I'm going to call arrow balefire, like a little arrow of balefire. Now, we had the question about balefire, and I think I figured out how balefire works. Not in how they channel it, but how they don't destroy things into infinity. It's not like a blaster in Star Wars where you shoot a red beam and it just keeps traveling. I think it extends from the channeler and comes back to the channeler like a bar of light that would emanate from the weave and get sucked back in.
Like drawing and retracting a lightsaber, to continue with the Star Wars analogies.
Yes. So he, instead of this time being a blazing bar of a pillar bar or something as thick as a car, he's now learned how to have a little pinpoint accurate arrow, like a laser pointer bar. And so anyway, that was my thinking, like, about, because I was still very confused, like, what makes balefire stop? Like, if you shoot it like a projectile.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a projectile. Any which way, he uses one of his new balefire arrows, and the Drakkar goes from skin colors inverting and then into nothingness. And obviously Aviendha is released from the crooning that was going to take her. And he's like, whoa. And with that, she turns to him and hand up and shoots fireballs straight at Rand. So Rand forgets about the power. He just ducks and rolls straight back to land training 101 and flips out like, what the effing hell are you doing? Like, seriously, like, I save your bloody life and you repay me by attacking me. And then she, after his whole little sook that he had, she's like, okay, cool, next time I won't save the Karakan's life when something, and then he realizes there's another Drakkar burning behind him, crackling, and he's like, oh shit. So she's like, cool, cold shoulder, I'm going back into the tent, thank you very much. And he's now he's begging outside the tent for forgiveness, and I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it, and blah 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 blah. The wise ones, Moghedien and Egwene, has now joined the fray because they felt her channeling. That lured them up there. Egwene, off the bat, you've upset her. What did you do? Again?
What have you done, Rand?
What did you do now? Can't you just not upset her one day? I mean, to be fair, there was fireballs being thrown at his immediate vicinity. A bit of an overreaction, but I mean, it's understandable. Let's leave it at that. Moghedien and Lan has a little chat, and Moghedien for the first time seems, okay, cool, well, you didn't need me. That's good, because, I'm not always going to be there for you. Moghedien really preparing Rand for the inevitability that she's aware of, and I don't think she knows exactly when, but she knows it's pretty imminent. So the attack was a distraction again. they figured it out that it was, and the wise ones then say, okay, cool, sure, there was only one. But Rand says, no, I destroyed one. Aviendha burned that one. This is very confused. Like the same tactic was used on him already. So why are they doing the same thing? It's not making sense. Like the whole attack still is a little bit suspect. Like the duplication of strategies. Matt sees it from the start. Lan sees it. Rand sees it. But Moraine reminds Rand not to mistake and to think the Forsaken are simple. Like you got to be sort of just aware. Like there's always something else on the go. Now Elayne and her maidens then at this stage come jogging back and realizing, like a little bit dragging their feet, like, oh shit went down and we weren't here. They then try their best to explain what happened, and I know they thought it was safe, and then the young one pipes up, and it was Samael, and there's something about golden bees being shouted, and Rand's like, look, whatever, man, it happened. And they like, now they've got Toe to get sorted out, and they sort of take a knee, pull out one of their spears each and point it to Rand. He's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? And it's like, whatever you need to do to rectify the situation. So they're thinking that he's going to grab it and stab them to death, which is not really the Rand way. And he's like, look, I don't have time for this right now. And he goes and finds Asmodean. Happily, he finds Asmodean hiding in the tent. I think when these Forsaken attacks happen, Asmodean is so fucking scared. He is not going to show face. He will hide inside a chest if you give him one.
Yeah, a barrel.
So you can give him a barrel with a dead fish and he'll climb in it and hide in there. He was very much, and it's like he explains, like, look. I felt the Drakkar, and I very much didn't want to get involved because, and Rand's like, good, because if I felt another man channeling, you would have been dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool, all right. They start getting into a breakdown of this event for a couple of hours, and eventually Rand decides, cool, I'm heading back to my tent. And he finds the maidens now, obviously, at his tent, like super, like, okay, Aviendha's in there, she's sleeping, Egwene left, Aviendha's mad at you, everyone's mad at you, like, whatever we can do, like, we just want to get our honor back. And Rand is before Rand gets back to the maidens, there's one thing again where the lose memories pops out, where he says to Asmodean that it is definitely Samael, because he tried to do this in Serendahar, which was an old battle, like way back in the time. And even Asmodean then looks at him and says, like, I did not know that. And it's like, yep, very, very interesting. But yeah, Rand gets back to his tents. The maidens give him the debrief. Adeline wants to discuss her errors, but Rand sends them to Bear and tells them, look, you go to the wise ones. They'll know what to do with you. I'm done. Rand out, sleep time. He just wants to get a little bit of sleep. And that's that chapter.
Now, before we dissect anything, Willie, you're going to have to explain two things to our listeners and one thing to Jody. The two things are, what is a society and what does the word sook mean?
Oh, sure. All right. Society is a skewer that is mostly made out of beef, but you can have them out of chicken and you can have them out of lamb. You can have vegetables on them. You can have everything on a skewer, but it's better when it's a society, because society is in marinade and it's done over coals, and it's not the same as these little kebabs you get in a kebab shop. No.
Our American listeners would probably know it as like a shish kebab, but our UK listeners or even Aussies would know a kebab as something else completely. So to them, it's a Joe, what is the the Spanish, like the huge like beef one that hangs.
That's a Brazilian thing.
A Brazilian thing, is it? Okay.
Espada or something, or espada.
Espanada.
Something.
It's a stick with meat on it. That's what a society is.
It's a skewer. I think it's a skewered meat.
Mm.
Yeah. Put like chunks of meat and vegetables on a skewer, and you put marinade over it, and you chuck it on the braai.
Okay, Joe, explain what a braai is.
They know by now.
And I saw Jody look confused when you said he was a sook.
Sook, a big sook. So it's a very, very Aussie term that when someone is having a little bit of a whinge or
being a crybaby,
just being a crybaby or a big sook.
If what I think sook is like even an abbreviated form of being a sookie lala.
Sookie lala. Yep.
That makes even more sense. Thanks, guys.
I know. Okay.
Everything's clear now.
It sounds like we're speaking in tongues. Is this the first time that we hear any kind of mention of like fades who have been mortally wounded dying by the time the sun comes up? Or is that like a fade thing? Or is that just specific to this battle?
No, it's fades only die when the sun goes down.
When the sun goes
they'll
down.
wriggle and so the sun's got to go down, the sun's got to set on them for them to die. So they're not always, even though they incapacitated, they're not dead yet.
But did we know that?
Die at night time.
When I read that, I felt like
I've never read this
before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I still
don't know what you guys are talking about.
They say that when Matt is like completely like chopped up that fade, he goes, it'll only be fully dead when the sun sets. This is the middle of the night, right? This is at nighttime. People are sleeping.
This is in the middle of the night. Yeah.
When the sun rises, or when the sun sets again. I don't know. It was a weird tie to fade only dying properly when the sun sets or rises or something.
Yeah, the sun's got to do something and then it really dies. But I mean, he comboed him. He got a big XP out of that.
He did. I've got a lot of Matt stuff here.
Well, Matt is very featured in this. And it's been a while that we had a good Matt point of view.
It has. So, okay, let me rattle off a couple. Matt uses the word shackled to describe having a house and wife and kids. Okay.
The forever bachelor.
Yes, an extension of that thought is also all Matt wanted from life was, quote, some good wine, a game of dice, and a pretty girl or 3. Yep, that's old Matt.
Well, Rand wants the same thing.
He does expect that he'll get married one day. But the problem with marriage is that he hasn't met a good wife that has been happy with gambling and drinking yet.
And he won't.
No. When he was talking about Melindra, he says something along the lines of like, if she had her way, he'd have a sign on him that says "owned by Melindra of the Jumai Shaido." Did you guys also have that typed in a weird font, like it's all capitals?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Dude, I don't know.
Like mine was all type of capitals, like a sign.
Yes. It's just odd. I mean, capital letters in the book are usually reserved for very specific passages, and it was an odd
dark one talking in your head.
Yeah, for the most part.
What chapter was this in?
Chapter 22, Bird Calls by Night.
22, Bird Calls by Night.
Oh, yeah. It was weird to like see this sort of arbitrary, just little thought that Matt has to earn the right to be capitalized. Did you guys notice that? I mean, you must have noticed there was a couple sentences dedicated to this, but there's a very specific time frame from which Matt's past memories stem.
Yes, it's from Piedrag. What's his name now? Up to another one specific.
Yes,
that's his memory period. Only that it's quite weird.
It's about around about 500 AB, which is after breaking. So his memories don't go back to the breaking or before it. So 500 is after the breaking, which is around about the time of Arthur Hawking. to about 400 or 500 years before the Trolloc Wars, which is, I don't know, 994 FY. Anyway, I did the math 3-4 weeks ago, so forgive me if I sound a bit fuzzy on it, but what I came up with is it's about 1,500 years worth of memories that Matt has.
I think more importantly, despite the time that it is the time that what happened in that time. It was a time of battle continuously.
Yeah.
So the memories he has is all memories of war, the war of power and the breaking. It's all just that.
It's not the breaking. It's not the war of power. That's specifically why I call this out. They start 500 years after the breaking.
So what was the war? Because the breaking happened, but then there was war the whole time against the dark.
There was lots of different wars. The Trolloc Wars is different to the one war they mention is the War of the 100 years. It's the Unification War that Arthur Hawkwing eventually. Oh God, I'm speaking out of my ass here. Call back. But there were a number of distinct wars, Phil, that are not just all against the Shadow. There was because there was the 10 nations, right? That Arthur Hawkwing unified under
they
one.
Also
or Arthur Hawkwing unified everyone, and they broke into the 10 nations after his death. One of those two things. But anyway, Arthur Hawkwing ruled all of Randland. The entire
sounds like a good pin that.
Yeah, I'll come back with some more details next time. But I mean, it is specific. That's why I noted it, because his memories stretch from 500 years after the breaking of the world. So by now, the War of Power is over. Because Lews Therin sealed the Forsaken in the Boar, ending the War of Power, starting the breaking, because that's when the Dark One lashes out, it taints the source, and the breaking only starts when the male channelers go crazy after the War of Power has been ended by Lews Therin and the 100 Companions. I also noticed for the first time reading that it's not the War of 100 years, it's the War of the 100 years. Which is a weird phrasing.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, 1,500 years worth of battle experience.
It was 98 and a half years.
Yeah. What else? I loved the very specific Two Rivers birds that Rand had set up as the warning signals for the different entry points. I wonder if Rand taught the Aiel what they sound like so that they could recognize them as well. I mean, Matt, we hear it from Matt's point of view, so we know that Matt recognizes the birds from the Two Rivers. But yeah, I don't know. Did Rand set up the wards only to notify himself, and then he would let other people know? Or he must have.
He's definitely.
No, I think they had a little memo that went out and said, "Okay, if you hear this bird sound in your tent in the middle of the night, it's not just some bird flying around; it's actually problems." So
well, the Aiel would also know that they would not recognize the bird calls because they're native to the Two Rivers, which makes them stand out here, but would not tip off necessarily an assailant in that area that isn't from that area, which I thought was
exactly
really smart.
Well, he's sticking to what he knows. And what he knows is stuff in the Two Rivers.
Yeah, exactly. When Matt charges at the Fade and he shouts, "For the honor of the Red Eagle," rad, first of all. But Matt mentions that some of the memories that he's having have been spilling out since before the Finns, right? Like back in book 1 when he was shouting about, he's shouting in the old tongue already back then. I had a chuckle when he's thinking Moraine said it was the old blood coming out, as long as it didn't come out of his veins.
Matt's ever the pragmatist.
Yeah. And then another funny thing was Amis and Bear placing bets on who Elayne was going to go check up on first, Dorinda or Bale.
And for some coveted items, like they're big gamblers. Like my amethyst necklace or your sapphire earrings, whatever it was. It's like, cool, I want your blue stones. Come, what do you say? Is she going to go for Bale or is she going to go for, what's her name?
Dorinda. Is Dorinda, right? I think so.
Dorinda.
Yeah, because there's Melindra as well, which is confusing for me sometimes.
But I like how they... This thing, Robert can bang on as many times as you want. Is just the odd humor of the Aiel, right? Like they could. I love their sort of weird jokes and stuff. They've just come out of this battle and they're making these arbitrary bets for, large sums of money. It's cool. You have anything, Joe?
Yeah, the biggest thing of this whole chapter
Shoot.
is you just glossed over it there, Willie. When Rand tells the Moghedens when they're looking for punishment, doesn't just go to the wise ones, which is the worst thing that could happen to them. They're thinking they would rather have to deal with the Kara Khan. They're like, oh my God, he understands fully what our failure has been. We're going to the wise ones. Brace yourselves, bitches. Things are going to get hardcore.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to go
That
ahead
was
into
great.
the chapters, but they're going to get their upcomings.
In a very
Yes.
typical wise one punishment as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think we raked that one thoroughly.
Transitional chapters. Chapter 23 is called The Fifth I Give You.
Why, thank you. I'll take it. Yes. Chapter 23, we with Egwene's point of view at this. And they are now through Jangai Pass.
Hey.
That was quick. We don't need to know anything about what happened those 4 days. There was a lot of walking. It's like watching the Hobbits or something.
We can take a couple guesses, right? Rand was uncomfortable about Aviendha being in his room. Moraine was fussing over the ter'angreal. The wise ones were being cold and distant. Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. So blah, blah, blah. They're in Kyrian. Hey, Kyrian. They're on what there used to be the Silk Path. And some of the old white road stones are still there. And it reminds me of these Roman roads that we have here. In Spain. There's a lot of those ruins, like thousands of years old, and they're still there. There's a walk that we go on with the kids and up like a mountain path, and the stones are still there. It's crazy. They're not, you can't drive a car up there, but you could see. I mean,
Sorry,
how the hell
Joey,
did they do that? Yeah.
I can't focus because all I have in my head is all of them coming out in like, oh, yeah, we're in Kyrian. And then that scene where all the Knights of the Round Table jump and dance at Camelot. But on second thoughts, this is a silly place.
Second thought, let's not go to Kyrian. It is a silly place. And they all went back. End. But no, they keep going.
It's only a model.
Into this silly place. And so the land is dry, but not as dry as the Aiel waste. There's still a lot of Aiel people stopping and gasping at the streams that are just like running in front of them. Like, what? Look at this water. And Egwene thinks just wait until they see the River Galen. When do they see a proper river? Then they're going to freak out. Moraine is, hey, guess what? Still fussing over Kadyr's wagons.
Weird.
Weird. Egwene still doesn't understand what's so important about them. Don't worry, you'll find out. Moraine won't tell her. She's told her, look, if you've got time to worry about what's happening to me, maybe I can speak to the wise ones and get some more work for you, which shut her right up and eventually never happened. So she never said anything. She didn't actually go to the wise ones. Some respect there. I almost read there's a red Chrysler chair, but it's actually crystal amongst the ter'angreal. I was like, Chrysler? A red crystal chair. There's 2 child-sized statues of a nude man and woman. Those are the exact words.
They've been mentioned twice already. This is not the first time that they are mentioned. So I'm wondering the whole time, what is the deal with those 2 statues? Because it's not like Robert to drop pointing something so specific as those ones, like here and there, yeah, like this is different, there's this. But those statues have now been brought up several times. Okay,
Indeed,
not
they
several,
have.
maybe 3 times.
Now, back in the day, pre-Twitter, pre-Facebook, whatnot, we had all these forums on the internet that we chatted about. There was a Wheel of Time one, and I put forth a theory there that the Crystal Throne is actually a ter'angreal, because in the books they have that saying, that line that after they kneel to the Crystal Throne, they are left with a feeling of awe and their mouths are dry and everything, like very specific effects that they could be using that to secure people's loyalty. through this Ta'angreal. And again, here is a red crystal chair. So I imagine that the crystal throne is just a bigger one in Sean-Chan, but here it could be another Ta'angreal that people, like, you sit on it and have people swear to you, then they're bound to you, kind of a thing. I wonder if that's the case, because this chair is mentioned in these little statues again.
Like an oath rod chair.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of rods of bone and ivory, which I suppose are similar to that, They also mention those.
Could be a chair you poop on and makes your poops disappear.
A toilet, yes.
A crystal throne of another description.
Yes. Sure, Pirates. She can make out as well, Egwene, that is, a couple of maidens carrying their dolls. And she's wondering, what the heck? Well, carrying their dolls and pretending not to carry their dolls among the group that's guarding Rand. Rand also sees this and says nothing. She tried to find out what that means, but beyond a reminder that the maidens are not children anymore, nobody wants to tell her. Like, the wise ones are like, they just got to learn that they're not little kids anymore. Behind them, they are Guy Shane coming through on all their white, and one of them in her black robes still, which is a bit of a relief on this side of the Dragon Wall, I imagine, for the heat. But Isandre is still there. Don't worry. She's still there in her black coat, being dragged along with everyone else. Couladin, of course, again in this town, has left a very grim reminder behind him. He's raised the town, I think it's called Celian or Celine or Celean. Celean, as it's pronounced.
No, it's
in the wetlands.
Selean. Celine.
Yeah, but that sounds too much like Celine.
Dion.
I know.
I want to go with
But
Celian.
the spelling is different. Same,
Yes.
but different.
Hey, no one on this podcast has any leg to stand on to argue for a specific pronunciation of anything.
It's my chapter. You pronounce
I
it Celian.
have creative license.
You mean Selene?
Yes.
No, Jennifer.
So anyway, look, guys, it doesn't matter. This town doesn't exist anymore. It's burnt to the ground. Okay. And the inhabitants have been impaled on spikes.
Yeesh. Yeah.
So not good. They found no survivors this time. It's not like on the other side of the Dragon World there were some people. Yeah, there's fucking no one. And there's no farm animals either. And this town was bigger than the Tayan on the other side, and the crops are also burned. So this town is bigger. It's even worse off. The crops are burned, the animals are gone, the people are gone. Everything's fucked. Moraine had told Egwene that it was possible that the Selaeans would go over to Couladin in like a Dies Day Ma maneuver, like see his strength and go rather take their chances with him. But he didn't even give them a chance to make a decision. He just killed them all. So that plan went to shit. Rand is surrounded by a group of clan chiefs and wise ones. He makes it clear that he means to save Cairhien, again, not ruin it. Dudes, keep your men in check. Aiel, he agrees, hence the chapter name, that the Aiel can keep their fifth as long as it's not food and no more than that. Like you can only take gold and silver and ivory, I suppose. Like, no food, no killing people without warning, none of the shit, but you can have your fifth.
No one is allowed to kill a man unless that man is trying to kill them.
Reasonable. Rand also says to him that he will have anybody who disobeys him and takes more than the fifth and blah 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 hanged, which is quite a shock to Egwene. The clan chiefs don't understand why he takes pity on the tree killers, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Come on, guys,
but it looks like they will obey him. Just get over it. Yeah, he tells them to pass the message on to the other clans that are coming behind them. Apparently, the Mayagoma were reported to just be a day behind them, so more clans are coming. I don't remember this clan. I hope that they just join up to the big over the wall movement. But anyway, I don't like like I said, I don't like how the clan chiefs are thinking here. They hate what Couladin has done, but it's like, look at these guys that have been impaled on these spikes. They're tree killers. It's fine. Look at those children. They're the children of tree killers. It's fine.
Yeah.
Not cool. But Egwene is impressed by the way he handles the clan chiefs, albeit a tad arrogant. She's worried about his arrogance. They're old enough to be his fathers, basically a lot of these guys, and they are basically kings, even though they won't admit it in the Aiel way. So she's like, Rand, because she still, of course, sees Rand as the sheep herder that he is. She thinks like, how long before he starts ordering the Aes Sedai around like that? Like, oh, sooner than you think.
Yeah, not long.
Yeah, next book. Kneel or you will be knelt. Woo! Do love it. Egwene offers Aviendha a ride, since you've been on the horse before, but now she's like, no, I will not do that because we need to have a chat. So, but anyway, so she dismounts to walk, dragging a horse behind her. Aviendha is still pissed off with Rand. She is finally at that point where she asks Egwene, like, please, can you talk to the wise ones about me not having to share his tent anymore? I can't take this anymore. One more night, I'm going to jump his bones. I won't be able to control myself.
That's what it reads like.
Yeah, totally. Like, I can't keep it in my pants anymore. So Sorelea, the strongest willed wise one Egwene has met so far, overhears them, and she's sort of like, what's all this then? And she sends the other wise ones off. What are you guys talking about? So she's like, she can send the other wise ones on errands, and they go running with red faces. Like she's the baddest of the badasses. Sorelea, that's her name, makes it very clear that Aviendha will just obey anything the wise ones say, and nobody will talk Aviendha out of doing her duty. She's like, yes, wise one, no, wise one, yes, wise one. Like that's gone. She also heard that the Kar Arkan gave her an interest gift like none other that she's ever heard of, rubies and moonstones. It's like, so Rand again has made things even worse.
Stepped in
what he does. That's what he does. And she also thinks, Sorelea, that is, doesn't think that wrapping a sword in a blanket technically means you didn't touch it. That's not how things work.
Doesn't Egwene pick up at that point of the conversation about this? It's called an interest gift. Like, surely Egwene
open your ears.
Huh.
Rand should have been there and overhearing that.
What's Egwene going to do about it?
Egwene can't do shit.
Shed some light on Rand, the wetlander, the woolhead. So like, hey, FYI, you gave her a gift. That means you want to get married to her. She gave you a gift. Are you out of the proposal? You then raised her and went all in. So
she's got nothing.
Just go and get married now. Get it done.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, like Sorelea says as well that about the sword being wrapped in the blankets, not counting. She's going to have a word with young bear.
Yeah,
her own word, young bear. So Sorelea is old.
Yeah.
She's disappointed to hear that Aviendha is not interested in Rand. Like, oh, so even all these gifts didn't do anything. She tells Aviendha, hey, like, if you're not interested in him, I happen to know a guy that'd be a great husband. Ferrin. Now, there's a line here. His great father is her sister's son. Explain that to me. She says, oh, his great father is my sister's son.
His grandfather is Sorelea's nephew.
Is that how old Sorelea is? Okay, that didn't make sense to me.
She's 1,000,000 years old.
At least. So Aviendha promises, yeah, sure, I'll have a look at this other guy, this Ferrin dude, even though he laughs like a braying mule, apparently. Then Sorelea turns to Egwene and asks, Rand, if Rand will hang every clan chief like he said he would. Like, you think he's capable? He's not just talking about that. And Egwene says, like, she isn't sure, but, he's changed a lot. He probably will do it. But don't worry, I'll try and make him see reason. And Sorelea's like, no, don't make him see reason. That's very good. He needs to handle these guys very, very hard. He needs to lead them. And she's impressed with, she's, approves of the way that he handled it. The Aiel are leaving from the bleakness every single day. Like, we haven't spoken about this in a while, but it's still happening this entire time. Probably happened a lot during that Jangai Pass, which is why nobody's talking about Jangai Pass. What happened those 4 days? Lots of Aiel disappearing into the mountains as they crossed.
Yeah.
The bleakness has got a lot of them. They're still leaving a lot. So they've got to be hard. What remains will be the hardest of the hard, and Rand must be hard to lead them. I don't like saying hard so much. with that, she leaves, muttering about mangy wolves, and then it reminded me of the Aiel prophecy, or of the prophecy of the Aiel. Only a remnant of a remnant will remain, and here it is, happening in front of our eyes. After the wise one is out of earshot, of course, for Egwene, Egwene offers to say, like, okay, fine, I'll talk to the wise ones about what you said. And Aviendha's like, no, what are you talking about? Forget about it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's end of, like, Sorelia has said no, so that's it. She explained my situation. My Ito requires it, that I obey, so never mind. Forget what I said. She's just going to carry on sleeping in the tent. Egwene, of course, doesn't understand what the fuck is going on, but she's like, whatever, you know. She's Aviendha's clearly in love with Rand. We can't say anything else. But Aviendha will speak of it no more, and that's the end of our chapter.
Yeah.
There was some stuff. Some things happened.
Couple of things. I want to quickly read the description of Sorelia, which is really great. The wise one of Shendehold had thin white hair and a face like leather drawn tight over her skull, and clear green eyes that could knock a horse down at 10 paces. That was the way she normally looked at anyone. When Sorelia was angry, other wise ones sat quietly, and clan chiefs made excuses to leave.
That's her.
Her normal look could knock a horse down at 10 paces.
Yes.
Awesome. This is who I had thought Bear was when we met Bear as the old wise one, but I forgot that there was an even older, older and wiser one.
Yeah, you're thinking about young Bear.
Young Bear,
you know,
young Bear.
Young Bear can still run around like a maiden. But Sorelia is ancient. Sorelia's nephew has a grandson that's suitable for Aviendha for marriage.
Yowza.
There's some small signs here that Egwene is starting to adopt the Aiel ways. They mention again that, you know, like sitting on the horse, her skirts are riding up to her knees, but she doesn't notice now. In previous chapters, she is sort of like conscious of it, and now she's not. So I like these like little hints at how she's transitioning into that way of thinking and that way of being, which is cool. How about you, Vil? Anything?
No, I think we covered that one well. I do like also add into that the clan chiefs, or the actual, just the Aiel, their demeanor. And I think that's why there's this really hard come down from Rand. It's like there'll be no stolen food. Because I mean, you can see what happened to that village. The biggest problem with moving an army is you got to feed an army. So that Selene village that they went through, there was no animals left because they pillaged everything. Like the Shaido ate everything. They ate every goddamn chicken that was left in that village.
All the blood snakes.
It's very important for Rand. Rand is moving an army. He needs to be in control of his army. Like they gotta understand, like, empathy. They need to have empathy for these people. They're here to pull nations together to fight a final battle. He's not going to do that if his main army thinks that his second kingdom that he's trying to pull in and get on his side is treacherous. I mean, come on, that's well in the past now.
What Rand says to them is, mark what I said, Derek. I came to save this land, not ruin it further. What I say stands for every clan, including the Miagoma, or any more who follow. Every clan, you mark me well. You know, like, this is it. No negotiation.
Yeah, I've got 2 golden dragons on my arms. Like, step in line.
Also, I can channel like nobody's business.
Exactly right.
Okay, so I mean, these chapters is just this procession through the past, right? Like, it's just like it's going and going and going. So let's see. Is the next chapter? Yep, next chapter keeps going on the same track. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add to the 5th I give you? No?
Nope.
Right on. Then we soldier on, much like the Aiel from the west into the wetlands. to chapter 24 called A Message Sent. Take it away, Billy.
Yep. Egwene is settling into a tent, tired, sore feet. She wishes that she had a nice warm foot bath to soak, and then she realizes she's not in the waste anymore. There's water now plenty. She could actually have a bath. She gets some dinner of some maize tacos and spicy stew. So she makes herself a burrito. She doesn't want to think about what meat it is because she's probably eating snake again. She tells herself everything's chicken. It's safe bet. Now she decides to settle down with a bit of a book, and she reads about the heroes and their love stories. Now Aviendha claims to love the books for all the action, but she's getting very certain that Aviendha likes the books for the love stories, just like Morris likes Wheel of Time now for the love story.
Swam, yeah.
Exactly. She falls asleep while reading book. Now, that is what happens when you eat a belly full of snake burrito and lie down next to a fire with a book. You fall asleep.
Happens every time.
Yeah. She wakes up. I don't know if you wake up into a dream, but it's like, oh, I'm here. I'm early. Oopsie. Shouldn't be early. Anyway, let's have a look around. She's back in the Stone of Tyr, and she's wearing the cat and saw, but she realizes this ain't good. If a miss sees me with this, she's not going to be happy. So she changes herself into some appropriate garb. She hears some voices that's coming out of the actual chamber where Rand drove Kalandor into the ground. And she has a quick look in there, and there's Elayne. So she's like, oh, but there's somebody weirdly dressed with Elayne. She's like, no, man, I'm dreaming this. I've just been reading about Brigitte Silverbro. So she like closes eyes and rubs eyes, but no, Brigitte is there. And I mean, you're going to notice, you might not have met her in the flesh, but she's got a long little white ponytail, and she's got a silver bow. It's like, yeah, it's her. But with that, the wise ones pop in, and Egwene's very quick, like, whoa, I fell asleep. And they're like, well, no, we know you have been running around here for a little while because we were informed that you couldn't be woken up. So we decided to come and pop in to see what you're up to. Now they want to know where Nynaeve is, and then Egwene tells them, no, Nynaeve's not here. Elayne is here. She's also just sort of pretty much, they're like, oh, another fool young girl that doesn't know about the dangers. Bear then gives Elayne a fistful of opinions, but Elayne is quite regal. She, in that moment, changes her dress to a royal red dress. And it's like, I have my own tasks to attend to, set aside by the Emerald seat. I've got other business. I can't just listen to you. They're like, you listening to a dead woman. Like, doesn't make any sense. And they're like, ooh, okay, it's pretty straightforward. But now through all of this, Egwene is having a conversation with Elayne that is about what is happening with them, but also have code in between for them to get a message sent, as the chapter would say. Now Elayne starts to tell Egwene that why Nynaeve isn't there, because she's got a headache. She's somewhat bruised. And she's like, oh no, has she fallen ill? She's like, nah, should have been there. It was rad. She was in a fist fight.
To say it was rad.
And it was rad. Now, the men from the traveling circus was really into Elayne until Tom had put them off it, having a word with her. Elaine's not quite happy that Tom intervened, but any which way, then they started going for Nynaeve. Nynaeve's not interested, but what is her name now? Littell then was given a stick and say, well, you sort it out. And she climbed into Nynaeve. Nynaeve looked like she might want to use the power, but she got on top of her, and it was a big old a big old cat fight that ensued. The wise ones at hearing this is mortified, like Aes Sedai rolling in the dirt, having a punch up. This is not on. This is not cricket. Like, no, not right. Egwene then tells Elayne to tell Nynaeve to act her age, sort of like a grown woman. Like, otherwise she'll have words with her. And Elayne is not quite sure, but she notices that, and she mentions that there's been a bit of a change since the last encounter. She's finding Nynaeve like arguing with herself a lot, and she hears Egwene's. So this really had a big effect of how Egwene took her on, and now have almost become sort of an authoritative, I wouldn't say authoritative figure, but like she's putting Nynaeve in check, and I guess rightly so.
Yeah.
But now through all of this, Egwene is dropping little message code in there that, okay, it's about where the meeting place will be later, which is like, oh yeah, she'll take her to the tower, and dropping their little hints, hoping that Elayne is going to get it. The wise ones hurry them on and say, like, look, we don't have a lot of time here. The Sean girl, Sarandon, Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon, the elephant trainer.
Yeah, the elephant trainer. She also has an Adam. And now, obviously, Egwene has got bad experiences with them. So she's why all of this? She's like, no. Like, I've tested her. She is not a Suldam. She just happens to have this. But more importantly, like this, we got to learn about this. Egwene's not really. She just really hates and fears this Sean in a big way.
Of course.
Anyway, maidens rush it up so that they can go to sleep, because Egwene really needs some rest, falling asleep reading books. And they just really have a quick update about the happenings of their movements and all of that. That's end of the chapter.
Oh, wow, that ended quickly. Surprise.
I've got very few notes for that one.
I got it's a very notes. Quick one. That
I can't remember if they do anything significant with that Adam from Susan Sarandon.
No, there's been references again, Elayne saying, but it wasn't in just chapter, it was in a different chapter, or it might be later, because of it, where she's saying, like, I can make this.
Yeah, because they start focusing on Elayne's talent for recreating Terangriel and creating Terangriel and stuff.
Yes.
So maybe it's just a way of introducing Elayne to getting the knowledge of how to make them. They don't make them though. Just understand them, I guess.
I like that they've got their own little code now. Like, that's they have to play by the rules of the wise ones in Tel'aran'rhiod. Egwene is also starting to understand the dangers of it. She's really getting trained in walking the world of dreams. And with that comes the realization of how dangerous it actually is. So, but Egwene is starting to act like a wise one.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways, which is quite cool. She's becoming, because she's young, but she's becoming very authoritative, motherly.
Yes.
I don't know, like she's starting to put ears on Elayne. She's starting to put ears on Nynaeve, which is great. I like seeing her development, her growth. And totally. We had the hint drop about the Emerald seat for her, all of that. So that's really good seeing that she's not, oh, this is so unfair. Oh, this is so unfair.
She still has moments of that, but you can see where she's going. The scene, this is sort of what I was alluding to in the intro of the show. Like, this is where we're seeing, Egwene's relationship specifically to Nynaeve also changing a bit. And in the book, it says, she thinks they needed a firm hand to settle them down. Odd that she should think of Nynaeve so. Nynaeve had always been the one with the firm hand. But since that episode in the Tower of Tel'aran'rhiod, Nynaeve had become less and less someone she had to struggle against. Like, she now on a semi-permanent basis has the de facto upper hand over Nynaeve.
There was a Twitter poll this week, who has the best story arc?
Arc.
And it was between Rand, Egwene, Nynaeve, and Perrin, and I voted Egwene, like without even bothering to think about the other ones. So did you do the same one?
I did. I also voted Egwene.
And Rand won, as far as the last time I checked when I voted this season. Rand was in the head. I was like, what? No, man.
Nah.
Like, his arc. He's going to win the last battle. Like, from book one, his arc.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about Egwene.
Interesting that you also picked Egwene. Also, like, without batting an eyelid. Oh, yeah, definitely Egwene. And she was, I think, tied with someone else. And then Rand was way out in front at the time that I was voting.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinions. And we know that many, many millions of people have wrong opinions about things. So
absolutely.
This is nothing new.
No. We are here to educate them.
Yeah.
This is the service we offer you.
It's for free as well, people.
I mean, we're talking about Egwene being sort of like, leading up to that greatness that we know that she's going to achieve. But then there's also this totally unnecessary, like childish comment that she makes at the beginning about men are always picky eaters. Now, Egwene, that is a gross generalization. And yes, I am a picky eater. But that's the point.
Picky eater.
I'm not nearly as bad as I used to be, Joe. When Jody and I lived together as students, I think I lived off like ham and cheese sandwiches and pizza or something. It was pretty basic fare.
Yeah, I used to buy like 4 things every single week for the same thing.
2 of those were ham and cheese.
Chicken burgers with pineapple, if I remember.
Did you grow up and start eating tomatoes yet, Moritz?
No.
Yeah, well, maybe sometimes. Jokes, no.
Does ketchup count?
I do. I even eat raw tomatoes in salad. I mean, look at me.
What? Who is this man?
Whoa, what?
Yes, I eat salad now.
Yeah, when you get old, weird shit happens.
It just took me a while to catch up to everyone else. That's all.
All right.
Now it's my turn to be an idiot. I totally missed Egwene's message to Elayne. Like the hidden message. I was like, I read past that section and I was like, and then Egwene, I think, has a thought, I hope Elayne caught my message. I was like, what message? Wait, I need to go back. I went back and I read
smarter than you.
Well, absolutely she is. But then I went back and I read, I was like, okay. The message is that she's trying to get her to go meet in the rooms. Okay, got it.
There's stuff I can't say in front of these wise ones.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can talk about Aes Sedai having fistfights and rolling in the ground in front of the wise ones, but other stuff you can't talk about.
Yeah. What else?
I don't know. I can't wring anything more out of it. More of the same.
No, it's more of the same. More of the same. More of the same. So let us then do more of the same and cover the next chapter, which is the last chapter for today's episode, which is chapter 25, called quite provocatively, Dreams of Galad. Jody.
Wow.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you to do. Set the scene with one sound effect, please.
Set. Yeah. So we're in Egwene's point of view again. She stays in the dream after everyone fades away, and she floats in that vast darkness for a moment, in that dark space with all the little lights that reminds me so much of Professor Xavier's Cerebro when he's looking for all the mutants, all those little points of light. Exactly that. Which is all the dreams of everyone in the world. Now, question. If Tel'aran'rhiod connects all worlds, like that middle ground, are all those dreams that she's seeing possibly the dreams of people in other realities as well? Like in other dimensions?
I feel like I've gone down this thought path before, and I think it must mean that. But then
many of them.
How does she find one person's dream?
Oh.
Because that dream,
magic science.
In which world?
Yeah. Maybe the ones that are closest to you are in your world, but if you could cruise through that vastness, you'd find the other worlds.
It's like galaxies in space. Like she's in this galaxy, exactly. She might have to go to another galaxy to access.
But she doesn't even know there are other galaxies yet, so she wouldn't even bother looking.
She needs to get her dream telescope out.
I'm blown. What I like is she's starting to recognize individual dreams.
Yeah.
So she can look at them and go, oh, that's Rand. Oh, that's Nynaeve. And she's looking for the wise ones first. Step one. Where their dreams? Okay, there they are. Whew, I'm safe. I can hang around here a bit longer. Because if I did not see those dreams, I'd just go straight back to my body. I'm not dealing with this shit. And that's what Willie was saying as well, like seeing her development. She's upgrading and upgrading all the time. There's another one. She's upgrading with her skills.
Yeah.
So when she's sure the wise ones have taken their own advice and gone to sleep for a bit, she forms an image of the novice room in her tower, in the tower, and heads there. She looks into the corridor when she's there, and she sees the door of Elayne's room opening, and her head sticking out. She goes, she got the message. She wasn't like Moritz. She understood. So Elayne's wearing a gray dress, which reminds Egwene of the Damane again. She's still holding on to that. Like you said, of course, she's still holding on to that. But again, we haven't spoken about it in a while, so I wanted to bring it up. That her reaction to finding out that Susan Sarandon has an Adam, and that like she notices a gray dress and immediately thinks about that. So it's still very fresh in her mind. I wonder how long ago this was. Oh shit! Did I put a pin in something now? When did they escape?
Falme.
I don't remember. Anyway, it
Ages
can't be
ago.
more than a year. 6 months, 4 to 6 months. There you go. Egwene wants to know about Brigitte. He's like, oh, that was Brigitte you're talking about, right? Clear as day. But Elaine's like, no, please don't ask me. I'm not allowed. I promised I couldn't tell. And then there's this whole thing about trust. Please trust me. I can't tell you now. And she's like, well, maybe one day you'll trust me enough to tell me. It's like, oh, come on, Egwene. It's not about trust. She made a promise. Yeah, so there's still her little things. But anyway. But anyway, reluctantly, Egwene agrees for now that she won't ask any more questions about that.
She's not all the way there yet. That we're seeing like the growth, but she's still very much 1 foot back in adolescence and acting that way.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she'll get there. Elayne wants to know how Rand is. So before she asks, her dress changes to a nice green silk with a low-cut bosom. Egwene tells her that, quote, he is alive and unharmed. It's like, are you a robot now? Why are you speaking like this?
Certainly not a wordsmith.
No, he is alive and unharmed.
Yes.
But okay, fine. But he's getting a bigger head every day. She tells Elayne about the whole beheading threats thing, and Elayne says, okay, no, she can see why he did that. Like she's totally on board with it. He is a king, and he must be able to dispense justice without any favors. But she agrees, like, yeah, you know, he's also got to realize he's just a man. And I'm like, ladies, he's not just a man.
He's not even just
Matt
a king.
is just a man. Perrin is just a man. Lan is even just a man. But, you know, the Dragon Reborn is not just a man. Like, that's oversimplification. Egwene asks if that fight that Nynaeve got into is like not going to cause any much problems. Elayne tells her, like, no. I spoke to Elayne. I spoke to Nynaeve, and Nynaeve apologized to Littell. And there's like records. I'm sorry, she what now? He's like, yeah. I had a chat with her. I told her to apologize, and she apologized. And she's made it very clear that, like Nynaeve made it very clear, she doesn't want anything to do with any men while she's there. She's not here to steal anyone's husbands or boyfriends or whatnot. So there seems to be a temporary truce between Littell and Nynaeve at the moment. Egwene tells Elayne to tell Nynaeve to behave yourself, or next time I see her, it'll be worse. So I was like, I thought that was unnecessary, but she's, you know, she's trying to consolidate her power there. It's like, all right, tell her that I said that she said that. Okay, fine.
Pass her this note.
Did she just threaten Nynaeve via Elayne with more zombie rapists?
Yes, she did.
Or at least some yucky tea.
Yes, I've got here written down, rein it in now, Egwene, rein it in. Elayne notes that Egwene has changed. She's like, you're also getting a bit of a big head, but you're also different. You're much stronger now and more assertive and authoritative and whatnot. And she says, you know, Egwene, one day you will become Amberlin's seat, and then I will be Queen of Andor. And it's like, yeah, spot on. Totally 100% what's going to happen. And she tells Egwene as well that, you know, once Nynaeve remembers the name of that town, she bets that that they'll find the tower in exile with no reds. It's like, again, spot on, Elayne. Elaine's skills of deduction are unmatched.
Unparalleled, for sure.
Yeah, so with that, she leaves. She's out of there. Egwene isn't, of course, ready to go yet. She likes to push her luck. So she hangs around in Tel'aran'rhiod a bit more, and she heads off to Elyda's study to see if she can find out how things are going in the tower, get some more insight into that box that keeps changing. Most of the reports that she finds in Elyda's place are, talk of failure. Bashir's army still missing. No reports from Tanchico. Padron Nile is calling all the White Cloaks back to Amador, but nobody knows why. He's reconsolidating. Rand's location is unknown. Basically, some people are still looking in Tanchico for him. So she thinks, awesome, they're in a complete wrong place looking for him. That's a good thing. The agent who let Elayne and Nynaeve escape is to be punished. And we spoke about that. You said that Elyda was going to have her flogged or something.
Yeah,
in public in
Rhonda.
Tarvalon. Yeah, and then she turns to the dark.
I don't know if it's in Tarvalon or in Mardest. Probably not in Mardest, because I said I can't just go in there and start giving orders in Amador.
Yeah.
Or Amador.
Yeah, no. I don't think Elyda
it wouldn't make sense for it to be there.
I think she eventually goes back. They meet up somewhere else that's not there.
Oh, let's see. Put a pin in it.
Yeah. There's another little thing there, another little note that Elyda seems to be making plans to build what she terms a private residence, but to anybody else with a brain is a palace. So Elyda's building herself her own palace in the tower grounds. What is it? Is it Elyda? Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very good moment again.
Yeah, big time.
Anyway, when Egwene moves into the keeper's study, there's a little flicker, and in walks Galad, who's so beautiful her knees crumble and blah, 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 butterflies in her stomach. A man has no right to look like that. He asks her to go for a walk, like he's being very, very flirty and happy. But then Leanne interrupts them. She's there too. And through a doorway, you see Swan. And I don't know what's going on here. Crazy dream shit is happening. I do know what's going on later on. Angry at herself for, almost letting her get caught in her own dream. She's like, somebody's like, this is bad. I almost got caught up in that dream. I need to get out of here. She jumps, freaks out, jumps away. She's back to the Two Rivers, where there's another little flicker thing. These are important flickers. And then Gawain is there. And he comes riding into town with his red coat on his big horse. There you are. And her mother's there. And her mother comes out holding a baby. She's like, here's your baby for you. And Galad's this is Gawain now. Sorry. Gawain is there. And she's like, I got to get out of this. This is fucking ridiculous. And she blames the romance novels that Aviendha gave her. There's too many romantic comedies that are causing these memories.
Welcome to my world, Egwene.
They are married this time, of course, like in her dream, and from the corner of her eye as well, she notices the banners. So it is the real Two Rivers, because she sees the Perrin's red eagle and red wolf banners flying there that he left there. And of course, she's like, this is all too weird. I'm getting the fuck out of here now. No, screaming. She flees Tel'aran'rhiod. At that point, we switch point of views to Moghedien. She is there, and she watches this strange girl flee. She doesn't know who Egwene is. So she was the one, all these little flickers, really the master of Tel'aran'rhiod, pulling the strings on Egwene and pushing her into dreams and putting people around. She's trying to trap her in Tel'aran'rhiod there. I assume that was the plan.
You think so?
But she is, I think so. Because there's two flickers, one in the tower where things change. It's like the glitch in the Matrix. Someone's changed something. Where she changed it and she made Galad come in there. She's trying to trap Egwene in like this fantasy world.
But how would Moghedien know to use Galad and Gawain to those ends if she doesn't know anything about Egwene?
It's very much like Inception.
The brother and sister of Elayne, and she's interested in Elayne. That's the only reason she's interested in Egwene, is because she's with Elayne. So I don't know why she's using those. Maybe she's been watching her dreams, because Egwene says that she's been dreaming a lot about Gawain.
No, but
I suppose Galad has been in there as well.
I want to say it's like Inception. Egwene is the dreamer, and she's populating a world, and Moghedien is channeling or doing something in that world for her to get coaxed into her own mind. to get trapped. So she populates the dream because it's her head, but the benefit for Moghedien is that she can view and see all of this.
Maybe because it's very dangerous to be in other people's dreams. Maybe Moghedien is just so strong, she actually can manipulate your own dreams without getting stuck inside it herself.
Do you think Egwene is in her own dreams there?
Yes.
How does Egwene know about the flags in the Two Rivers?
Because that's still Intel Lanrioid. Egwene jumped there. When she got there again, there was flicker again. So then Moghedien said, "Okay, cool." Flags? She set the scene. She brought herself there. Moghedien is trying to trap her there.
One of these are dream shards. Cool. Like if Moghedien comes in, you're in Tel'aran'rhiod, and then from that scene she creates a dream shard, and then that she escaped from that shard. Egwene escaped, went to the Two Rivers. So Moghedien followed her, created a dream shard of the Two Rivers. So it was like a copy paste of that little section, which would include the banners, and try to trap her in that one again. But then she escaped.
All the basic things, the pleasant things that will keep you in a dream: baby, loyalty, nice cookings, and
And I'm sure she's been watching these people. She doesn't, but she says, anyway, I don't want to get too involved in this. But it's definitely why Gawain and Galad. But I mean, obviously, they're beautiful. That's why. Even Moghedien's impressed.
If Moghedien is watching Egwene's dreams, she might have noticed that she dreams of one of or both of these guys.
Yeah.
But Moghedien's strength lies in Tel'aran'rhiod, the central world.
Yeah.
Is she also a dreamer? Can she go to people's dreams and go view them?
I wonder.
No, I don't think she's a dreamer.
Then how's she watching Egwene's? Then how's she watching Egwene's dreams and knowing about Galad and Gawain at all?
That's the thing. That's the trap that she weaves in Tel'aran'rhiod. She lets you set the scene. What happens around you in Tel'aran'rhiod is what you want to be in.
Not in Tel'aran'rhiod. No, only in your own dream, not in Tel'aran'rhiod. Specifically not. Especially not for Egwene. Egwene is very much in control of what's happening around her in Tel'aran'rhiod. She's not just going to...
So is Moghedien then channeling? Saying, okay, cool, let's shake your reality. You are asleep.
I think she's just creating dream shards and putting stuff in there that's going to keep Egwene there.
So back to my original question. How does she know to put Galad there?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that. Because as well, look, could she be watching Egwene's dreams? Yeah, sure, that's how she know. But she specifically mentions she doesn't know who this woman is, who this girl is.
Look, I think
she doesn't know her name.
I think a combination of these things are right. I think you're right, Willie, that Egwene is the one manifesting Galad and Gawain. And I think what Moghedien might be doing is pushing Egwene out of Tel'aran'rhiod into her own dream.
Yeah.
And going with her.
And then trapping her there, trying to keep her trapped with these wonderful thoughts of beautiful life.
Or just to see, in her dream, what's coming up. What is Egwene conjuring in her own dream? What is Egwene's own mind conjuring a baby with Gawain in the Two Rivers? She
specifically says she has remarkable strength. This girl, whoever she is, she's remarkably strong. It would have been nice to trap her here Her plan is to trap her. She specifically uses those words. So I'm 100% certain it's a dream shard. How she knows how to use those two dudes is anyone's guess. Anyway.
Maybe Egwene can actually, because of Egwene's strength, can populate a dream shard with stuff from her own.
I think it's a simpler explanation. Moghedien knows stuff. She knows to use these two guys somehow.
Even Egwene doesn't know.
Look, Moghedien is after Nynaeve, Elayne, and Birgitte. So between those three people she's been following, she may have learned about Galad and Gawain. She's definitely watching their dreams. She obviously knows that those two are the brothers of Elayne. She knows that everyone's got the hots for Galad. Everyone in the world has got the hots for him. He'd be a good starting point.
Okay,
the most beautiful man in the world.
Yes.
Hot dude. We'll use him number one.
But the Gawain thing, I still can't reconcile. I don't know.
Maybe she knows from watching Elaine's dreams that Egwene has a thing for him. Like, okay, I'll use him.
But Egwene doesn't even really know that, let alone Elayne.
I don't know.
Actually, no, wait.
Actually, what?
Doesn't Elayne say or talk to Egwene about Gawain's feelings and how Gawain wouldn't ever say anything to Egwene because Galad also has feelings for her?
That was mentioned. I don't know if Egwene was involved in that conversation, but I remember that conversation.
I'm sure, was it Elayne that was saying that to Egwene in the tower, like when they were all there? Listeners, help us out here. I am stuck in my own nightmare.
I was just gonna say, this is one of those that we got to put out to the ether. Like, give us a little hint. Dream shard, spider traps.
What I was what I was reading from these chapters, like between the lines, is also how the ease or the threat of being trapped in this place could be. I thought it was Egwene showing up in Galad's dream and then in Gawain's dream, because we have established there that when you are in someone else's dream, suddenly you're at the mercy of what they want. Like you have far less power. But that's Gawain has never been to the Two Rivers. He's never been in Eamon's Field, let alone knows about the flags in there. Like that doesn't work. That's
real, because Moghedien also says in this point, she says, I wonder where this little village is. She doesn't know it's the Two Rivers. She didn't send her there. This is in Tel Anriad. Yeah. Egwene is there. She creates a shard, and Moghedien is populating it with things that are going to trap Egwene there. How she knows what those things are is what we need to know.
That's the mystery.
Egwene populates the dream. It's Moghedien. She sits at the back and she's like, cool, I'm going to throw this one a little bit of, call it rehypnol. And it's going to put you in a trance and you're going to get trapped in your own head, in your own dream. It's she is manipulating with whatever tools she has in the world of dream for Egwene to slip from the reality of the world of dreams into her own dream, because she is asleep while she's there. And once she's in a dream, she can weave that dream shut, so she's trapped in it. Whatever the dream is about is all, because you're not going to get trapped in another person's idea of perfection. You're going to get trapped in your own idea of perfection. You've got the comfort of home. You've got the beautiful husband and babe, like everything that's already been thrown at Egwene already.
You remember the accepted test? Or was it the accepted test?
That's what I'm thinking. It was the accepted test.
Like it shows them their futures and like everything that's great, and you don't want to leave. And that's like these novices, or the novice test, I can't remember, get stuck in there and they can never come out again because they stay there.
Same thing.
So that's not their own dreams.
No.
So it is possible that it doesn't have to be your own dream. But anyway, I want to throw it out there into the ether and get responses back from people.
So we don't sit here and speculate for another hour.
Yeah. And I want to finish this chapter. I've got like 4 sentences.
I was about to say, have you even finished? Please do finish up, Joe.
No. Okay. So what I said was, she doesn't know who this girl is. She doesn't care, but she just knows that she's related to those 3 that she really is after. She wants Elayne and she wants Nynaeve for besting her in that battle in where was it?
Tanchico.
In Tanchico. And she wants Birgitte because she ruined her plans with Lews Therin in the Age of Legends. She holds a grudge for a long time. And she knew her then as Tiadra. Well, her name wasn't Birgitte Silverbow. She was Tiadra in the Age of Legends. I looked it up. There's not much about it. The only time it's mentioned is here in this chapter. There's no history about that.
Well, Birgitte mentions the incident in a previous chapter that we've read. I read the quotes in that episode where we spoke about where Birgitte has appeared in different times.
Oh, yeah.
Brigitte mentions.
Now, what I mean is there's no story about Tiadra Like what she was doing and who this incarnation was. Just like that's what she was called at that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the chapter ends with Moghedien promising like she will find them and she will punish all three of those people. The end. All right. Now I'm done.
Okay, so let's talk about these dreams.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Willie, did you have anything you want to lob in there?
I've got cross-pollinated theories, but I'm going to go and write a fan letter into the podcast for you to read.
Set up a fake Gmail address. Right in. Egwene thinks that the novice bed used to feel hard, but now is soft by Aiel standards. Another one of those little hardenings.
That tracks.
Yeah, just becoming more like the Aiel.
That.
A red sister in Camelin sent a confused report about seeing Morghese at a public gathering when other agents report her being in seclusion. The old compulsion, Aes Sedai spy feeding bullshit back to the tower. That's Ravin's doing.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Confused report. Egwene thinks it's more than a year and a half since Egwene left Eamon's Field. No one's ever celebrated a birthday or mentioned a birthday, have they?
They don't do birthdays in this book.
They clearly just don't give a shit. Like not a single character has mentioned a birthday. And we now know it's been a year and a half since they've left.
Maybe they just forgotten how calendars work and only look at the sun.
Yeah, nah.
They've been in some pretty big places, some pretty big cities with some pretty wise people. Someone's going to remember a date.
Yeah. Oh no, how sad. Just no mention of birthdays.
The old Jehovah's Witnesses. That's the way of the leaf.
Okay. I think we've done it. Hey?
Yes.
I mean,
my brain is hurting.
Look, we've got some Tel'aran'rhiod action happening here. We've got glimpses of Forsaken. We've got a full Trolloc attack and a fight with a Fade. There's been some stuff, but it's really just a somewhat embellished travel log, really. Still just on their way to somewhere, and stuff is happening along the way that is incidental, character building, giving a bit of lore, that sort of stuff, entrenching some Aiel customs and attitudes, that sort of stuff happening, and not an awful lot for us to really, really sink our teeth into. With that said, what was your favorite moments? What was your favorite moments? I used to be able to speak English. What were your favorite moments?
What? Billy, go ahead.
I would have picked Matt and Melindra's interactions, a little bit of cheeky banter, but because knowing that what the outcome of that is, it doesn't stand up as a favorite moment for me. And I'll have to go for the one that probably everyone chose. Matt 5-hit combo, ends Fade, slices hand goes flying, blue spark, steel crashing. It's just a lightsaber fight it's brilliant.
Mine is very closely related. It's Matt shouting for the honor of the Red Eagle as he runs into battle.
There we go.
2 Matt-related ones.
Well, Matt's in here. It's mandatory.
It's only 2 Matt-related ones.
Because
I didn't choose anything. No, I'm joking.
You got me.
No, you're not. You didn't. Look at him stall. No,
I've got it. Mine is where Rand becomes more Aiel than he has possibly ever been this entire time. And when the maidens are looking for punishment, he tells them offhandedly to go to the wise ones, which is the most Aiel thing he could possibly have done and the worst thing that could possibly happen to those maidens, and the looks on their faces must have been incredible.
Yeah,
that's my favorite scene, because I was on holiday. I sent you that photo.
yes.
Yeah, so I was sitting next to the pool reading that chapter, and I laughed out loud, going, "Ha! You've punished them harder than you could have, that you even realize." You're so Aiel.
Well done, Rand.
Yes.
He's growing up. Okay, I had honorable mentions. Bear and a Mrs. Bet about who Elayne was running off to see first, and Rand laying down the law with the clan chiefs and telling them, "Mark my words and mark them well. This is how it's going to be." Yeah. So to our listeners, send in your favorite moments, your thoughts, your theories, and for the love of all that is good and holy, some semblance of an explanation of how Moghedien is orchestrating these Galad and Gowan dreams, because it has clearly sent us off in a tizzy.
I don't feel lost at all. I feel like I'm on. Until next week, until next time, get proven wrong.
Until the callback.
But I'm feeling very, very positive about my stance and my theory about this. It's
okay. All right.
Yeah,
I like it.
That makes listeners send in those. Send that feedback. Just give me a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for here?
Vindication.
Redemption. Vindication.
And our listeners can do that by messaging us at any of the social media links in our episode description. Something that I always forget to ask people is, if you are listening to us on Spotify, give us a star rating on there. I won't be so audacious as to ask for a 5-star rating as some other podcast hosts do, but do give us a rating. Thanks, Jody. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast app where you can leave reviews, please do so. And you don't need to spare our feelings. Let us know exactly what you think. I mean, if we can learn something from that, that would be great. I've been having a couple of learning experiences on Twitter recently, which is, for the best. Next time on Blood and Ashes, we will be covering chapters 26 through to the end of chapter 32.
It's too many.
7.
That's an uneven number.
One of those. Yeah, well done, Willie.
It's also a prime number.
One of those chapters is 5 pages long, so don't worry. It's not
shotgun.
Maybe that's the one that I will do, so you guys can have an even number spread between you.
I don't mind what chapters we need to do, but I really want to specifically do the igloo chapter. I think it's mine.
Is it Sexloo? Is it snow snakes? Is that in this stretch? Oh, it must be.
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay, Willie, your request shall be granted. Those chapter names are: chapter 26 is called Salidara, and chapter 32 is called A Short Spear.
Hey, I got a sign off, by the way. The book gave me a sign off, and it's brilliant, and I think we should use it.
Okay, well, I've got a couple more from Adrian. You go first, Willie. Give us yours.
As the old Aiel would say, sleep well and wake.
That is a good one. Sleep well and wake. That is so typically Aiel.
I was thinking of signing on with a dad joke, but it might be a good way to sign off, actually, because you didn't give us a chance to do it today. Because I was thinking there's 3 dads, and we never have any dad jokes. It's a travesty.
Well, not on this podcast, anyway. And I would also not say never.
No.
Yeah, right. I think we have our fair shares of small little dad inside jokes.
I deal almost exclusively in dad jokes these days.
I've got one for you. Let's test run it then, and this will be my sign off.
All right.
Did you hear that the CEO of IKEA has now been made the Prime Minister of Sweden? Yes,
no,
that's true. He's currently assembling his cabinet.
God damn it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jody. That is very good. as I hinted at earlier, Adrian sent in a couple of suggestions for us for sign-offs, and I'll rattle them off quickly. I think she also just rattled them off pretty quickly. So whether one of these sticks, I don't know. But she suggested the following: may your shufa always hang loose.
Gross.
Or may your cup be free of fork root. May your dreams be
that.
free of forsaken. May all your rocks be free of dark hound prints. Or a final, really heartwarming one. May an ogier grace your library.
Oh, I'll take that one.
I like that.
I like all of them.
Well, Moritz, from now on, every week you've got to choose one of those and sign off.
All right, gents. Until next time, may your rocks be free of dark hound prints.
Thank you. Yours too.